Hi everyone and welcome to Book Club with Bay. I am Bay and this is Bay. Say hi, Bay.
Hi, Bay.
And this is other Bay. Say hi.
Hello.
And today we're talking about The Fourth Wing by
Rebecca Yarros.
Rebecca Yarros. Thank you. Sorry.
I have Goodreads pulled up.
Is this a book in a series?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Are
the
there
second
more
one
of
is
these?
coming out this year.
There's going to be 5. At the moment, it's fully outlined for 5 books in the series.
Yes.
Do we have to follow the same characters in all 5 books?
I imagine so.
I imagine. Well, considering the ending of this one,
that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
For 5 books, it doesn't mean anything.
No, but I mean for the sequel, we're going to be following Violet 100%.
We still haven't read Squeal.
Look, I am going to say.
Oh my god, it's June! Shit! Fuck this. I'm going to read this book during book club. Y'all have fun without my notes.
You bring your notes back, okay? Stop.
I'm opening Kindle.
Don't make me come over there and smack you upside the head.
Oh, yes. Come over here, please. I dare you.
I'll be there in about 24 hours.
Okay, I dare you. Squeal.
Yeah.
Squeakle.
I'm gonna download it as well.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something and I lost it. Fuck you.
I'm sorry. This is important.
All right, I'm gonna read it tonight.
Yes. Okay.
What?
I do think
it keeps getting pushed.
What? It's not out?
Yeah.
Come on.
Why would you say it like that? Like you don't think it's it's actually a bummer?
I'm saying it's
I don't understand because it's been like they said it was going to come out May 1st and then it said May 31st and now it says June 30th. This is depression. Anyways, the notes are back. The notes are back. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I think it is going to follow Violet. I
think it's going to be the whole time.
The whole time, and at best, we'll get split POV with Xaden.
Insufferable.
And I'll tell you a big part of why. Okay, so my guess is what the intent of it's not genre, age, the age genre. I feel like the intended age genre of this would be new adult. And a video that I saw, like that I briefly mentioned earlier, where it put to words at least some of what I was trying to think of words for in my head for it, is the syntax or writing style or whatever was very much young adult in this.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And you can have a new adult syntax or an adult syntax in a YA book. Usually ends up fine. You can't apply I don't even know if syntax is the right word, but I feel like
syntax is not really the right word. It's just like writing style.
Yeah.
Syntax is something like I eat banana eat me. It's not.
Yeah.
That's
how do I will say some of the way she phrases her sentences though. I don't know. I don't know if the sentences aren't complex enough. I don't know if there's not enough sentences, or I don't know what the issue is.
Yeah.
But whatever makes the writing style of a YA book versus a new adult or adult, she's in the YA category. And you can age up your writing style, but you can't age it down.
An error in syntax is going to come, like errors in syntax and stuff like that. And also another place that you'll see errors in syntax, especially in like as an adult, really is if you're writing from somebody who is writing, if you're English, somebody who's writing English as a second language or something like that, you might see in the way that, especially if it's like a long list of adjectives or something, English has like,
I just don't know what the right word is.
Yeah, so it's sorry, I'm just explaining what syntax.
No, I know.
You know how there's like a way that like we list adjectives and there's an order, and like you know what the order is, but you were never taught it.
But
a non-native speaker might
so
mix
unnatural.
that up. Yeah, a non-native speaker might mix that up, just like you might mix it up in another language. That's syntax. But yeah, it's just the writing complexity and writing. I also think that
also, sorry, I just needed to get. I just wanted to look up the correct adjective order just to be like, okay, so it's the quantity / number, the quality, the size, the age, the shape, the color, the proper, and the purpose. If you mix up any of those, then the sentence is not fun.
Ah.
So you don't go like like so size and age, right? Like a large old dresser instead of a large old dresser. When it's only 2, it's not quite as jarring, but as you add more, then it gets really. Ooh. I've read a couple sentences like as examples.
A red
of
old
it
rug.
really.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
But
anyway.
it's not fun. Yes.
Anyways,
but, you
this
know,
book,
the writing style is written as a Look,
it's also written in present tense, which is very, very uncommon for fantasy, especially and especially otherworld fantasy.
Yeah, like high fantasy. This is meant to be high fantasy.
I am thinking she went. I've been referencing this a lot lately. I don't know why, but I'm thinking she did it for the Hunger Games vibes, because this is like the Academy is kind of like Hunger Games vibes.
Yes.
100%. So I think that's where she got the the present tense perspective. Whatever, you know what I mean, the present tense thing. I think she got
okay.
It is just such an odd choice to me.
This author does contemporary romances. That's what she does. So this is her foray into high fantasy, and that's why it reads so juvenile, because high fantasy has a very different writing style to contemporary romance.
Yeah.
And that's why it reads so juvenile to us. Is because she writes contemporary romance novels.
Well, and contemporary, like, so because the writing style for contemporary romance is pretty much what was in this book and would read as like.
Well, the review I sent y'all in side chat, that is like the epitome of my feelings, and it is about to make me actually change my rating. I did change my rating.
Yeah, this was where I was at too.
It's the romance is juvenile. The characters are one-dimensional. It's not a fantasy romance.
When I saw that
I'm going to disagree 20 with
hours, I just about I just about cried, and then I started it, and I wanted to cry some more.
Yeah, look, like, okay, so like one of the points in that review, a couple, like, so the Violet's character would have been more interesting to me and then the dot points. I don't really care about seeing her time as a scribe.
I don't care about that either.
I don't care.
We did see her train.
Yeah.
We did actually see her train. I would love to have seen with her mother. I would have loved to see the dynamic with her mom more.
Yeah, I'm okay with the brother stuff, because he died. He died 5 years ago.
Off screen.
Like 5 years before the book starts. He's been dead. He's gone for years, and he's also significantly older than her.
And it's also the amount that he's referenced is perfectly adequate for the fact that he's actually alive, and that's like the last sentence of the book. And that was the only thing that shocked me this entire book, was that, oh wow, he's actually alive. You got me. You got me there.
Yeah. Look, like, I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming, but I also am just like, I'm not even surprised at this point, but I didn't see it coming. If that makes sense.
Well, like, because
that's one of those tropes that has happened so many times.
But also, we're surprised the rebel boy was rebel the whole time.
Well, this, like, I will say, this is actually, I should have seen it coming, because I was getting like, this is like Hunger Games meets something to do with dragons. I don't know. Cross Divergent, especially like with the plot twist of the good guys are actually the bad guys and the bad guys are actually the good guys. That is hella Divergent. And what happens in Divergent? Oh, Tobias's dead mother isn't dead.
So something I saw about this book before
that might also be where she got the present tense from. Sorry, guys.
Something I saw about this book before we read it was like, everybody loves it because it was a TikTok about it, and I did not save it. I'm so sorry, because it was among the 50,000 other TikToks I saw about this book.
Right?
And it was talking about how this book borrows elements from every other big novel, like YA novel you have ever read. Twilight, Detergent, The Hungry Games, all of them, like every single one of them. And so something, and like also people are comparing it to ACOTAR.
Yes, the ACOTAR one is
The
Which
only
is
So
thing that
every
this
single-
has, the only thing that this has in common with ACOTAR is it's high fantasy.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
That's it. That's it.
But it kind of feels like it could be urban fantasy with dragons, quite honestly. It feels kind of like
look,
Hunger Games
it-
does.
yeah, it does feel more like a dystopian fantasy as opposed to a
Yeah.
high fantasy, but
Yeah,
it's
it feels like
technically
this could
high
happen on
fantasy.
Earth.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I said otherworld fantasy, because
Yeah.
I
feel like we need more fantasy world distinctions because it's just effectively like low and high, or like, and low is usually like low/urban. Like there's subcategories of every single type of world, but
I
whatever.
definitely agree that like there's enough here that might give you like the warm and fuzzies, and I don't know that it didn't give
Look,
me the warm and fuzzies. I don't
if-
know, like,
I can see why
If the
some people
writing
like it.
style, if the writing style was more mature, I probably would have liked it a lot more.
Yes.
Because
If
it's got the
if it was more mature.
bones. It's got bones. It's got good bones,
Yes.
but
it's got
I
alright bones.
but it's made out of mud instead of.
I think if just a different author wrote it, I probably would have had a much better time overall. Because yeah, for me it was the writing style and we're gonna get into this, but the fucking chapter headers.
Let me. I've got the.
Yeah, I
Fucking
mean,
stupid.
you guys know this is no secret. Immediately if something is present tense,
She hates it.
good luck.
Yeah. You have to be haunting Adeline.
That I was like fine, but also it was a thriller, and present tense
Mhm.
works much better in thrillers. And no, your contemporary romance is not thrilling enough to be worth the present tense. It
God,
never
right?
is. It's not thrilling. We are
Ooh,
in a small
did I just
town,
do?
and the most intense thing happening is the traffic light. Like, calm the fuck down. So please just put everything. I just cannot with present tense. I fucking hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I think yeah, so it could have been Hunger Games she got the present tense thing from. It could have been Divergent because they're both
Is that in
tense.
present tense too?
Yes, it is. But
I wonder if she did
I will
any
say
interviews.
I mean, it's kind of hard to judge, like, unless she dies at the end or something. I don't know, but like in Hunger Games, the present tense kind of works as well because you're actually supposed to like not be 100% sure if she does live.
Is that what
you know?
present tense is supposed to be for? Like,
I
we have to be
don't
certain if
know. It
someone's
kind
gonna
of
live or die.
It's for something that's supposed to be suspenseful.
and it works for
This
Hunger Games
isn't suspenseful.
and in Divergent, I don't know if you guys have read it or whatever. I don't care. It's been out for years. I'm going to spoil the ending. She dies. She dies at the end. The books end with her dying.
Oh, okay.
So, and then the last chapter or the last two chapters are from Tobias's POV. And I think we get split POV from him in the last book in general, but I know that the last chapter or two is from him after she's dead. So present tense works for that because she's dead. She can't tell the story because she's dead. So we're with her as she experiences it instead. And so I don't hate the present tense in Divergent because, again, it makes sense because, you know, at the end, she can't tell the story to us because she's dead. So, but in this, I don't see Violence dying. That is the stupidest nickname as well. And then, like, at the end, like, when things are urgent, he's like, but Violence. And I'm like, no, can we stop?
I know. I'm like, this is a serious moment. Okay, so on her Instagram.
Just call her Vi. That's fine.
Yeah.
Or Petal. Petal. I would have been happy with Petal.
Yeah. So on her Instagram, she has a picture of the book with like all the tropes in it, right? First, chronic illness representation. I don't think it was represented that heavily at all.
I don't even know what is wrong with her.
She was like, my bones are brittle and I'm very weak. And then that was it. That was all it was.
Could you at least give us a name of the condition? Like, even if it's a made up one? Like,
she's short.
She's short and has brittle bones.
Yeah,
I'm sure that it has.
She has osteoporosis.
Not to be sensitive, not to be insensitive, but it's not very. Enemies to lovers. We talked about this over text. We're this is disgruntled to lovers.
Just okay, but real quick, real quick on the. Sorry, I just want to backtrack real quick to the to the representation thing, if we're gonna claim, like, as authors, as people that write stuff down and, like, publish it and stuff, um, if we're gonna do claiming that we are doing a representation, like, that's fine. It's all good. It's just, I don't know. Is that
So
representation? It feels.
Look,
So she's supposed to
give
have
us.
something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, where it is a
I've never
hereditary
heard of it.
connective tissue disorder that manifests with skin hyperelasticity, hypermobility of joints, weird
She
scar,
does mention being extra flexible. She does
weird
mention
scarring,
that.
and then weird or fragile blood vessels. That has nothing to do with your bones breaking all the time. Because that's what happens to her, is her bones break all the time.
Bay, I love you, but this is nothing against you. We're gonna go with the Dumbledore rule here. If it's not in the text, it doesn't count. So if it's not in the text, it doesn't count as representation. Dumbledore's not gay in the book, so he's not
Yeah.
gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it's not overtly said that he's gay, but you can, knowing that he's gay, when you read about him and his relationship with what's his face, you can tell that there's some boy crush going on there.
It doesn't, if it's not on page,
unless it's
then
explicit,
it doesn't
exist. Anyways, it's disgruntled to lovers, dragons.
At best,
she does deliver a dragon. She does deliver dragons.
Speaking of the dragons, and also I remember.
Can you imagine if there were no dragons and that was the cover?
Oh, I would lose it. But she foreshadowed the two dragon bonding on the cover.
Yes,
because we got the big black dragon and the little golden dragon.
Yep.
I looked at the cover after, I was like, oh.
Set at a war college. It is set at a war college. I'll give her that. New adult fantasy, I suppose. And then the last one is spicy as fuck. This book is not spicy.
Look,
this book
the
is
sex
not
scenes were hilarious.
Spicy.
They were hilarious.
I mean,
they
there's
actually,
like one and a half sex scenes.
Yeah. Look, and also I feel like as well the destruction that occurs during those scenes, I feel it sounded ridiculous. It would have worked better if it was a fade to black and and then after the fact they're like, what the fuck happened to this room?
And then made it wild. There was no reason for this to have sex in it, which coming from me.
I would love to hear the graphic audiobook of this
splintering wood.
just like thunder cracking.
Like okay.
Wait, that's the other thing as well in those scenes, right? Like she's like making shit explode in the room with lightning. They do not mention the thunder.
Yeah, I'm so for like people's powers coming out during sex. I love that trope a lot. This was way too much. This was just ridiculous.
Yeah, but
and
also,
it's for real when she says that because she's
yeah.
Because I am a fucking I'm a what is it?
You're a simp for it. Like,
I am a simp.
A
I am a sucker for this shit. I should have been drooling at the mouth over this book. And you know what? I wasn't
fist humping while
drooling. I was not drooling. In fact, I was bored. Anyways. And it has a 4.7 on Goodreads.
Genuinely, if like people are bored during your sex scenes, it's just not a good thing.
Especially a fucking sucker like me. Who could ship anything. I could ship anything on planet Earth. Okay?
That's true. You could yeah, it's true.
I am a sucker for this shit. And you didn't even have me. That's the tea.
Yeah, no, look. Like they weren't the sex scenes, they weren't what's the word? Vague. They weren't abstract. They weren't fade to black, like they happened.
Yeah, they were very
that's all I can say.
Yep. They happened.
But yeah, but like I said, though, it just occurred to me that like while she's making everything explode with lightning, there should have been thunder rumbling all through that freaking room because thunder is literally just the sound of lightning.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
it
they
should
are
have been
one and
loud.
the
But
same.
I also wanted to make the point as far as like standards go.
She burnt down the forest. Carry on.
Addie, it is like you are very much a sucker for all of this type of stuff. My standards of like being not like suckered in, but entertained are very low as well.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking at the map because one thing she did right is she gave us a map, and the map has a pretty border, like which is something we don't normally see. So like I get the artwork in this book is lovely. It's fine.
Yes.
There are no trees near where they live, so how the fuck did she burn a forest down mid-sex?
Also, I'm going to the sex scenes to just kind of like reacquaint myself because it's been a long time since I read this book. Because I barreled ahead of book
Yeah,
club
you read
to-
it like about like three
Yeah,
weeks
she
ago.
did.
yeah,
or
3 weeks
something,
ago. I
yeah.
barreled ahead because I wanted to read Crescent City. That's really what I wanted to happen.
I forgot
Um,
about the article ocean.
So this is another case of like books trying not to say birthday. It's books trying not to say birth control. Fertility
Yes.
suppressant.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what's it called in Akatar? It's a tonic of
It's
but I
a
can't remember what
it's
it's called.
it's just a fertility tonic, I think is what it's called. Which is better
Yeah.
than fertility suppressant.
Look, what
Honestly.
is it? Like, what is it? Is it
Yeah,
is it
what-
a pill?
what's
Is
the
it
I
a drink?
forget. I
It's
forget
a
what it
drink.
is in
Is
Akatar, but
it
it's
something you
it's a-
smoke?
Oh, in this book, I have no idea. In Akatar, I
in
think
Akatar. It's something that's
You know, it's
really
tonic.
like
So you drink it, right?
I forget what it was
In this.
actually called, but obviously it was something very non-offensive because we don't remember.
yeah. I'm
Yeah, I
gonna
just
remember
remember it was a
fertility
tonic.
suppressant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fertility
Yeah, but-
suppressant is freaking dumb. Just say bird control.
Yeah. Or again, like at least give me something else. Because again, what is it? Do you smoke it? Do you ingest it? Do you inject it? I need to know at least something.
I'm sorry. I say bird control because we had to put our bird on birth control. So
That's funny.
How do you birth control a bird?
it's an implant, actually.
Oh, that's cute.
You know, like you can implant humans with bird
Yeah.
control.
Yeah,
Birds too.
I just never heard of this, and I'm fascinated. And speaking of bird reproduction, just really quickly, sorry, my son's kindergarten class has an incubator in their room at the moment, and they are hatching chickens and ducklings. And so far, 3 ducklings have hatched. They got to watch one of them hatch in class,
That's so
so
exciting.
and 6 of the chickens have hatched. And I'm pretty sure they
Is
come.
it just like tweet, 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 tweet?
Oh, it's so cute.
Class
Because
photo?
I've been up there because I do parent reading, so I saw the 2 ducklings because the next duckling hatched the day after I was up there, and 6 little chickens, and they're so adorable. And then any that are boys, the principal will take back to his farm. And I did actually ask him because last year the rooster chicks got sent to the farm, like Mr. Buck, Mr. Buchan's farm, and I asked him, I was like, now when my daughter tells me that they got sent to the farm.
Are they going
that a
to
euphemism?
the farm? Yeah.
Yeah, is it a farm or the farm? And he's like, oh no. And he pulls out his phone and yeah, he lives on acreage like about 25 minutes away. And he's like, no, they're at my farm.
They're actually at a
And
farm. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, my biggest regret is that I can't bring the calves to school because he has calves, he breeds cows, he breeds goats.
So cute.
And I'm just
would
like,
cry.
I hate you.
I would
I
cry
hate you.
so much.
I want this life.
I want to pet a cow.
So- Oh, honestly, I'll have to see if I can find it. I can't even remember what it was on there. I saw the cutest video. It was like a little bottle-fed, like miniature cow. Like
Addie, next
calf.
time we're at my parents' house, we'll just go across the street and you can pet a cow.
Oh, also, guess what I discovered the other day? The Salvatore boarding house, the sale fell through because it's back on the market and not under contract.
What's the address? I want to look at it on Zillow.
I can't remember.
I guess I can just Google Salvatore House Zillow.
No, it is realtor.
Is it in Covington?
No.
No, it's
Is it in
in
Sandy Springs?
It's in Loganville.
I think I found
Yeah.
it. I found it.
Yeah.
$4.9 million.
Yeah.
It's actually not that expensive. Like when you think about it.
Like looking at the architecture of it.
I've
yeah.
seen
Isn't it
houses
weird to
much
see it
smaller.
in daylight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Um,
seen houses much smaller than that for much more than that. So like, because
but
it's that's it.
also
Because it's not just the big house. There's like the rock house, the apartments above the garages. There's like I think like 4
and
or
also
5 different
it's on
places.
50 acres too.
Yeah, but there's like 4 or 5 different places you could live on that property.
Yeah. It has a wine cellar. Yeah, that's actually pretty cheap for what you get.
And it has a full gym, like
and a
full
pool,
gym.
a giant 3-car garage. Okay. Anyways, we're almost half an hour in. We've ranted, we've raved, but we have not talked about anything. So characters, Violet, violence as the
Fuck
love
off with your
interest.
violent shit.
Yeah. Even though she's not that violent, quite honestly. Whatever.
Yeah, that was actually the most confusing because like she's the worst physical fighter, right? She's the worst
Yes.
physical fighter there.
She
She
resorts
wins
to
most of her
poisoning
fights
people.
by cunning. Yeah,
Mhm.
which is good. Cunning is good. I fully agree with that.
I
Cunning
liked
is
that.
excellent. But also it's a war college, and he's like, "Oh, hi, Violence," and I'm pretty sure she was only named Violet, so she could have like the nickname Violence. So I'm like, that is.
Dude,
I'm
this
sorry.
staircase in this house.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna cry. I want this.
but-
I want the master
Have you
suite. Anyways,
Have you seen the big brown building, the really big, just randomly, just
is that an indoor
wood.
pool?
Yeah, but like no, that's the gym. Like when I say it's got a gym, it's got a
Yeah,
fully
I see the
fully
brown
set up gym.
with just another giant garage. Got it. Okay.
Like it's got a full basketball court inside
Mhm.
that gym with a chandelier. The basketball court has a freaking crystal chandelier, by the way, because we're fancy when we do our sports at the Salvatore boarding house. It's that property's ridiculous. And
Private grotto / cave.
Yeah, also I'm actually also really surprised that it's so cheap based on the fact that in the last 2 or 3 years it's made so much income being rented as
This is the Salvatore
TV.
boarding house.
Yeah, and it's
Also.
been used for multiple like not Vampire Diaries universe things as well. Like it will generate a really high income because a lot of filming happens around Atlanta.
Well, yeah, they just built a movie studio not too far from my parents' house.
Yeah, and
Like
the
a
upside as well
giant
to
movie
that
studio.
is, yeah, you can buy that property, live in the rock house or whatever, and rent out the main house as
Whatever.
like a set, as
Yeah.
a filming location, and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars of income a year.
Yeah, easily pay your mortgage.
And it's only 4.9 million, which
Yeah,
is a
that's not
lot.
that bad.
I can't afford it, but for what it is and what it can bring, it's a good deal. I'm surprised it's been on the market for a year. Carry on.
Violet has some unnamed disorder that makes her bones brittle and she's short. She was trained to be a scribe.
Her ligaments tear. She bruises easily.
Yeah, she's just generally.
And she's hyper flexible.
Yeah.
That only gets mentioned a couple times though.
She was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant of this war college, but her mom was like, no, my children are dragon riders. You go to dragon school.
Yep. So there's 4 quadrants, obviously, because quadrant.
The 4. Well, I was gonna say the 4th wing because that's 4.
Well, there's 4 is a big theme. 4 is a big theme in this. But there's the scribes, the healers, the riders, which are the people that ride dragons, and the infantry, which I guess are the foot soldiers.
Yeah. And
scribe, healer, and infantry you can be conscripted, that they like can and will conscript you into each of them. But I guess so. Like, if you want to be a scribe, but you epically fail the entrance exam, they're like, okay, off to infantry you go. But riders is volunteer only, and I can't remember why. There's a
will
reason.
likely die. Well, it's part of because you will likely die.
Yeah, I think it's a 3-year program. I think by the end of it, I think only like 15% of the class is still
something
alive.
ridiculous. Yeah. Then there's Zayden, who's the male main character.
Yep.
He's whatever. He exists, I suppose.
His father led a rebellion.
Yeah.
Like
against
the rebellion ended 5 years before the beginning of the series. I don't know how long it went on for. And it is
Violet's mom executed his dad.
Yeah.
And a lot of other dads.
Yeah. And his dad, look, we're just going to talk about this based on what Violet knows, believes, thinks at the beginning of the book right now. His dad killed her brother.
Yes. Yes.
Because there were a couple of times where I thought like just someone in the rebellion did, but then a couple of times I think it was explicitly mentioned it was his dad. We later find out that is not accurate, but
because he's just alive and he's part of the rebellion.
He's part of yes. And at the beginning as well, we're told that all of the officers' children of the rebellion have to join the
have to be dragon riders. Yeah.
God, when you say all of that out loud, it feels so YA dystopian.
It feels so dystopian YA.
Yes.
It just doesn't feel. I don't know why it doesn't feel high fantasy.
Well, that's why. It's just because you have like this society.
Because it's a cross between. It is a cross between. It's the love child of Hunger Games and Divergent with dragons. That's what this is, and the two former ones are dystopian. Like they're set
also,
in our
it's
world in the
because
future.
like we're still at a magic school. I will never forgive Harry Potter for this. Like
for the magical school thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Excuse you. By the way, Hogwarts is amazing.
It's not this amazing.
But it should have just been that, and everyone leaves it be.
You know that never happened. Okay, I'm surprised. I'm actually I will say, one thing that this has told me, though, is that dragons are making a comeback. Because when Game of Thrones came out, dragon stuff was coming out, and then it kind of just died off.
Yeah.
And went really heavily into... Yeah, it went really heavily into werewolves for a while. And then it started to trend towards Fae, and it still is quite Fae heavy.
Is very heavy.
But now we're getting dragons too, again. And I'm okay with the reemergence of dragons.
I would like to partly attribute it to House of the Dragon, which is Game of Thrones 2.0 coming out, which was really, 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 really good. So
that is true. I forgot about House Dragon.
Yeah, and that just came out a year ago.
Yes. Also, I heard a fun fact about dragons the other day. It was if you could suspending disbelief to pretend that these kids could survive on their own from when you put them there. If you put like 2,000 newborns on an island by themselves,
okay,
and they live, they grow up, they survive, but they have never interacted with anyone ever, and you come back in 2,000 years, their society has developed, etc. They will have dragons. Every human culture has invented that have had nothing to do with anyone, has invented dragons in some capacity.
thought you meant they would actually like have dragons.
No,
and I was like, no.
Like the concept, some concept of a dragon.
Like, no, they won't.
Some concept of a dragon will exist, whether it be more like
a wyvern or...
Yeah, it may be more like the British Isle dragon. It might be more like the Chinese dragon. It might be like one of the other million types of dragons that have existed. Oh, when I say existed, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Throughout cultures, throughout the year. But
you mean literally
existed. But every single culture has invented dragons, though.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. I love that.
Our brains inherently have dragon creation
because we fucking love dragons.
Well, it's it's actually more because it's more likely that a dragon is a representation of a hyperbolized representation of the combination of every single extreme human fear. Like a giant flying reptile that can breathe with fire, and it like predator from above, giant reptile, fire, etc. You combine them all, exaggerate it, you get a dragon. So I thought that was just a really cool fun fact that no matter what happens, dragons will always exist.
That is a wonderful fun fact. I do love that. All right.
One thing you guys need to remind me to do though is because I audiobook and stuff, and I usually refer to the ebook later. Remind me to look for a map before, because it always is less confusing when I have a map.
Crescent City has a map.
Excellent.
I'm telling you now. I'm putting it into the universe. Crescent City has a map.
I had looked up the I don't think I'd seen the Akatar map until I'd already read the first book.
Because you saw it on stream.
Had we already brought it up before?
On the Akatar stream.
No, I'm saying before I read Akatar, I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, no.
However, for the first book, though, I don't feel like the map was terribly important because, we're in her village and we go 2 days north and we're in spring, and then she goes a little bit further north and she's under a mountain, and that's all we are. So I'm okay with that.
With Crescent City, I never reference the map. It's useful more in the second one than it is the first one. Because in the first one, you're just kind of like, I'm getting so much shit thrown at me that I'm just here for the fucking ride.
Let's talk about the info dumping, because I'm okay with we've talked about info dumping, right? And I'm not actually against it. I'm not against it as a general thing.
I'm against it.
And TJ and I were talking about this. She and I, we saw each other a few days ago, didn't we? I don't remember. Time is irrelevant to me. We saw each other a few days ago, and she and I were talking about this, where we were talking about it's call and response. Don't just give me shit.
I mean, look, sometimes you need to fit some expositional world building in when there's not an easy, flowy way to do it. So I'm okay if it's like a thing. And one thing I really liked was I think 1 or 2 of the Vampire Academy books. I know at least 1, maybe it was 2. Instead of being like, she did it like a previously on insert whatever show you're on. She kind of did that summary right at the beginning of the book. It was like, hi, I'm Rose Hathaway, and I'm a Dhampir, and this is what a Dhampir is, and this is my best friend Lissa, and she said this and that, and this is what has happened in the previous books. And then
backwards.
I do like that. I appreciate that.
I love that approach, especially in longer books and stuff like that. I think you might remember when we read the Mark Lawrence books, the Red Queens War series does that.
And that's why we did Blackwoods.
That's actually where I got the idea from.
Yeah.
And then also as we were reading the Vampire Academy, as you go through the subsequent books, there's a little preface that's just like, hi, I'm Rose Hathaway, and this is what happened last time on the Vampire Diaries.
And it's a little bit harder in a first book, right? But one, and I told you about this TikTok that I saw that was like, oh my God, Fourth Wing does this really cool thing where there's new information on every single page. And I was like, yeah, and I hated it.
Yeah,
that's not necessarily a good thing, because I was constantly overwhelmed.
There was better ways to do it, because we get the whole world's history during the first task of crossing. What was it? The precipice, the
parapet.
Something.
Was it a parapet?
Yeah. I think it was that. Yes,
I think it is. I didn't write it down because I didn't think it was important that it was.
And look, as her coping mechanism, I get it. That's fine. A lot of people recite facts to keep themselves calm. However,
you could tell that.
That narrator though was getting hardcore into it. She's panic attacking, yelling these random facts, and I'm just like,
what was that?
And that's when I realized,
Mara?
That
sounded like a different person. I don't think I saved it.
No, I'll find it in a second, because it deleted because it was just a voice memo. So I'll find it again and redo it.
No, I still have it.
I still have it too.
Still have it?
Yeah,
excellent. It's gone from mine, which is rude.
is this part in, I think it's in, sorry, I've got
Oh, and now
Here
it's
we go.
chapter 3
of the
Sorry.
I get to listen to my
maybe
voice.
chapter 4,
Fuck
I don't
you.
know. It's in, I think it's chapter 3. And I'm pretty sure the narrator forgot to record this line, or they fucked it up and inserted it later, because have a listen.
Sorry.
This is so stupid.
Me out the back door. The vice around my chest squeezes tighter. Next time, Jane is the person who knows me best.
It sounds like a completely different session, a completely different mood. Everything's different.
The
Yeah, like there's no
around
emotion.
my chest squeezes.
The vice around my chest squeezes. What happened? Jesus
know.
Christmas. Also, can we? Okay.
But like I will say, the production of the audiobook was not that great. I'll tell you what, there were multiple times where I could hear her swallow, where I could hear her put something
hate
down.
that.
And I will say,
Oh, I hate that.
the sound of swallowing used to never actually really offend me too much, right? Because it was just like, no, I'm not talking
I
about an
hate it.
audiobook, just in general. Just in
Just in
general. Like,
life,
if
yeah.
I have a sip of something and I hear myself swallow, I'm usually like, that's fine. Except it was 7 years ago now. And I imagine you'll know exactly who I'm talking about as I get into this. I was talking to someone on a voice call. And I had, like, you know, the old Apple headphones where the microphone hangs down here. And I had a sip of drink, and he mentions, I just heard you swallow. And I'm like, I'm
hate that.
sorry. And he's like, that's okay. I like the sound of that. Like, it's weird. I actually really like to hear, you know who I'm talking about, don't you? And then
I hate that.
I find out several months later,
Forgot this person existed.
so did I, until I heard the swallowing in this, and then I was like, that's right. And I had that visceral reaction to the swallowing sound, and I remembered why. And then I find out later, he is actually into vor and fantasizes about the concept of being consumed. So he was
Like,
getting off on hearing me. Yes. So he was getting off at the sound of me swallowing.
I see. I
And
thought you were going to
since
take that in a
then-
different direction. And it was
No,
like, oh, he
no.
just like, because, you know,
No.
that's what I thought you were going to go
No.
with that.
No.
Worse.
It is worse.
No.
So much worse.
He watches porn of people getting eaten by giants and imagines himself as the person being eaten.
Anyways,
So-
who wants to talk about how the book
As
starts?
a result,
I do.
I can't cope with the swallowing sound, and
Yeah.
I heard it multiple times in this audiobook because he fetishized my swallowing against my will.
Okay. Jesus, that's horrible.
It was.
But
was,
also, like, it's unprofessional to like for the audiobook narrator. It's very unprofessional.
Oh, look. To an extent, I'm not as mad at her as I am at whoever the fuck produced it.
Yes.
Because also, even if they heard it, you can get that sound out because she's not talking while she's
Yeah.
swallowing, because she's
Yeah.
swallowing.
Yeah,
Like, you
you
can
have
just,
to break. You have to stop speaking.
Yeah. Like, I don't know about you, but I can't talk while swallowing. So they
now
could
I'm
have just,
hyper
like,
aware of
muted
every
that.
time I'm.
Oh yeah, no, I'm drinking this truly, and I'm like, can they hear me swallow?
I can't.
I can't. No.
But now that we're talking about it, I am also hyper aware of my swallowing sound, but I'm also
Oh God. Okay. So the first line of this book, 45 minutes in, we can do this, guys. My notes are like the length of the notes for Fallen. So if that like helps. My notes are
I
forever.
was like, I was talking to Noah and I was like, it's only gonna be long because we're long, not because we have a lot.
Yeah,
to say.
because it's gonna be because
I
we
do
keep
have a lot to say,
derailing.
but none of it's pleasant.
Yeah, right. That's the thing is when we've talked about this book so far, it's just been I hate this X, Y, and Z thing. Anyways, so it starts with this, and I'm just gonna read an excerpt, the first lines of the book.
Oh, yes.
The following
Okay.
text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Jezania Neilwart, curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Basquiat I don't know how to tell you if that's how you say it.
But,
War
but
College.
It's like Basquiat or
Remember.
Basquiat, one of them.
All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malik.
Who is the
So
death
does that mean that we're just reading a book?
We're reading
Like,
the journal.
but we're reading a book. I hate
Actually,
that. I hate that.
with that,
I hate it.
it should be in past tense then.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Because if it was in past tense, we could be like, okay, it's her journal.
Yeah.
It's her journal. And it works.
Because that implies that it is. That implies that we are
I-
reading it. Like,
one
more than just
thing
reading
I
it.
don't think I've ever heard of is someone writing their journal in present tense, unless they are being like, fuck, my mum is still screaming at me through the door.
yeah.
But when they're like,
I
hey,
did
so
this
I did
today.
a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna just like relive my day and write it as it's happening. No, that doesn't happen. I didn't, because I don't even
Yep.
know if I don't know if that snippet was in the audiobook. If it was, I didn't pay attention to it. The first part of
I
it,
don't remember it.
Yeah, the first
So-
part I remember is a dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead. Now there's probably a few quotes or excerpts or whatever it is at the beginning of each chapter that I don't mind. That's one of them because it kind of gives you
So it's right before the
vibe
map.
as-
So we have the
I've
map,
got the ebook up.
and
I've got
then
the ebook
right
up
above
now.
it is the thing.
Yeah.
And
But,
then it's
yeah.
a dragon without its rider. So let's talk about
Can
the
you
chapter
repeat
headings.
what it says real quick?
Yes.
That
It says the following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Jezania Neilwart, curator of the Squad Quadrant at Basgiath, War College. All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be condemned or commended to Malik. So this
yeah,
makes me
it sound like
think that
a
we're
long time ago in a galaxy far, far
yes,
away.
that when we are reading this, that it's been like 50 or more years. Like it's been a long time since the events of the book happened. You know?
because we now have a modern language.
Yes.
So language
means
has
she's
changed.
Yeah, so it's been centuries probably then. And then every chapter starts out with something like this from the writer's the writer's codex or her brother's journal or
Look, I'm
her
okay.
journal.
Yeah. You know what? Each chapter will say whether or not the excerpt is fine. The first chapter 1 excerpt is fine.
I find
This one is fine.
But
'Cause
everyone
it also
after it
gives you an indication as to, I think there were a couple that I didn't mind, but I can't remember. So we'll see as we go.
yeah.
But this one, but yeah, one of them, the one where she starts channeling, that one, and
It tells you what's going to happen in
messaged
the
you guys.
chapter.
Yeah, it's like
It
it
tells you what's
describes
gonna
what
happen.
the first channeling sounds like, and then she starts to feel those exact things, and she's like, "What is happening?" I'm like, "Obviously, you're fucking channeling. Obviously."
Okay, so my first note about this book, other than the beginning excerpt, is so it's present tense. Violet spent her whole life training to be a scribe, but she's not going to war. But she's going to war college for dragon riders instead because her mommy said so. She is not prepared. Her dad, dead, was a scribe, and she almost died in utero because of some sickness her mom had while pregnant. Her mom is like, "You're doing this." Her sister is like, "Bitch constantly breaks her arm. She's gonna die, mom."
So the chronic condition, illness, disease, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what to describe. Just a syndrome.
Yeah.
Why did my mom just text me asking if I'm okay? I'm confused.
Is it in that weird, like, British Australian way of being like, "You okay?" Asking, "How are you?"
No, because we say how's it going?
Oh.
The British one that I swear, because I worked in an office like full of British people, and like for 4 years, until that's when it clicked. After 4 years, 4 years every day was multiple people saying, hey, you all right? I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
fine.
you okay?
I'm like,
like,
why is
yeah.
everyone asking me if I'm all right? But what was I gonna talk about before she texted me?
Her illness, her
Yes,
syndrome.
yes. So the syndrome thing that you said that she's meant to have. Oh, it sounded like I was upset. I'll text her back in a second. So
yeah.
We are upset.
Yes, we are.
So the thing that you said it's a hereditary thing, the one that
Yes.
the thing it's supposed to
Yes.
be.
Yes.
Whereas it is being described as something that is congenital, which is a
Yes.
different thing.
It's the way it's
Because
described in
congenital
the
is a
first
birth
chapter.
defect. A hereditary
Yes.
thing is inherited.
Yes.
Nature versus
the way
nurture.
it's described is that when mom was sick, when she was pregnant with Violet, something happened. That's how it's described.
You know,
And-
hereditary.
Yeah, right. Anyways, so we found out her brother died in a rebellion 5 years ago. Her sister, I didn't write down her name until so much later. Sister gets her ready.
Yeah, so I just texted my mom back. I'm like, oh, I am just about the book. It's okay. I'm okay.
She gives her special no slip shoes and she gives her this armor. She's like, wear it to sleep. Like, we get the vibes that this place is cutthroat, everyone's dying.
Yeah.
And stay away from Zayden.
Yeah, so this armor as well is this armor
Sorry,
also is
I'm
super
sorry.
special armor.
Yeah, it's made out of dragon scale.
Yeah, and they described it, I can't remember, but they somehow managed to shrink the scales because dragon scales are actually like proportional.
Like gigantor, yeah.
Yeah, how I'm assuming it is like the size of a fish scale compared to the size of the fish proportionally expanded to the size of a dragon, which is fucking huge.
Agree.
That's how big a dragon scale is.
Agree.
Whereas these are so small you can't see them.
Like no one knows dragon scales. Got it. So she's like, her sister is like, find Dane, but don't fuck Dane because he's a second year. You only can fuck first years. And she's like, yes, mom.
Yeah. I will say as well, because this is something that irritated me throughout the book. And reading it, I probably wouldn't have had as big an issue. But this is why it's very important as well to verbally say your characters' names. Because Zayden and Dane, on paper, very different.
Out loud?
Very different. Out loud, they sound way too similar.
Yes.
Zay, Day. Like,
yes.
You can't.
Yeah. So,
and it took me a while to work out which one was her friend and which one was the bad guy. Like, what each of their names were.
Cutesy little hack for name similarity is out loud sounds for similarities. So, Zay and Day, too many long A sounds. And then, but also like when they're written down, typically if like two characters their names start with the same first letter, that's like a kind of a rule. You don't have to follow it though.
Kind of a big,
but like maybe do.
If they're gonna have the same first letter though, they have to be wildly different. Though.
Wildly different letter halves.
I was just gonna say, like, shape is a good way to like if you were to actually outline the shapes of the names, are they different? Is one like really short and the other one like longer?
Yeah. I've seen something talking about the shape of names. I can't remember what it was, but it was about that. Yeah.
Shape helps a lot. So like, I don't know, Ben and Ron, too close. They have the same shape. Stop it. Fix yourself.
That's fair.
Ronald or something. I don't know. Ben and Ronald is better than Ben and Ron. And I don't know, if you don't like Ronald, then name him something.
Name him something else.
Ron and Benjamin.
Yeah, Ron and Benjamin, you know, because that's a very different, and it sounds different out loud. Stuff like that. That's how you name characters. The other thing,
unless they're meant to be intentionally the same or similar.
Yeah, and Zayden and Dane are not meant to be. And I've never said their names out loud. Now I hear it.
Kind of maybe don't do the intentionally similar thing. It's just meh.
Yeah, why would you?
I mean, look, if they're minor similar, like minor secondary characters, like for example in Harry Potter,
or if it's like a dead
Padma
character.
and Parvati, Padma and Parvati, their names start with the same letter. The names themselves aren't too similar, but they're not primary characters, especially Padma. She's rarely on page. very rarely. It's mostly her twin sister, but they're twins. So
Oh,
then
yeah,
Oh
well,
yeah.
I was also
You
going to
know.
say the bucket method helps people group characters, and the bucket method is basically like with side characters, you group them together, and basically the paths of characters. This is especially useful for big casts. The paths of characters in different buckets don't mix until it would be interesting for two characters from different buckets to interact.
Yeah.
So,
And now that we're talking about name shapes as well, I'm wondering because I didn't read it, so it wasn't an issue listening. But Liam and Dane,
Yeah.
would because they both
They
have
sound
a
very different though.
well,
I never had
I
an
know,
issue.
but yeah, like the two middle letters are A and I in whatever
Yeah.
order, and then the last one is an N or an M. So like
it
they're not-
helped because they were rarely on page together.
Yes,
They were rarely together. That's why
see, that
it
can
was
help
fine.
a lot too, and it's also something to keep in mind if you are not dyslexic, for readers that might be dyslexic. If you have two characters with similar shaped names that are using similar letters or something that are on page at the same time frequently.
Yeah. But thankfully they never were.
Yeah.
They were rarely ever mentioned at the same time. So
yeah. And
Anyway.
another time where I guess like I mean it can get confusing, but it is what it is. Like A Song of Ice and Fire, like the Game of Thrones series or whatever. There's like 80 characters named John, 80 characters named Robert, but they all have like but
80
it's
characters
intentional,
named
right? They're all named
Aegon.
after each other. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
all named after each other, but they also are like, like Jon Snow the bastard, and then John whoever the blah, and then John
I
whoever.
think that's a
blah,
joke
blah.
based on like British history, though.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
But also, Mara, if you haven't seen House of the Dragon, you should watch it because the names in that one got real fucky.
Oh,
The names in that one.
Because the Targaryen
So
names
bad.
are all like
Yeah, because all of them are the same. There's
they've got
like
the same five
three-
spaces, and that's it.
There's 3 Viserys in it. There's a couple Aegons.
Yeah.
There's a couple Aemons. Like it's just there's so many of the
There's
same
probably
characters.
like some version of Rhaegar or something in there.
Yes,
as well,
there's a
so that's
Rhaegar.
You know what? I admire that though, because if you do any
They're
studying of
committing.
history of any kind, you just know that it's like people pick a name and they run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Forever.
That's the
especially
Targaryens
in
do
noble
that.
and royal families, especially
Yeah.
in noble and royal families. Like even now the British royal family, like those boys, like George and Louis. One of George's middle names is Louis. One of Louis's middle names is George. They both have William. They both have like Philip. They both have Charles in there as well, or something like.
Yeah,
They've got
'cause
the
it's
exact same
common.
names, but in just different orders
Yeah.
because they're naming after. They're using the royal names as all of their name.
Anyways,
So that happens.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Anywho.
She's got her non-slip restaurant shoes and she's got her dragon armor and her bag and she's about to walk the parapet. She sees Zayden.
But we
She's
also
like,
need
"Oh,
to
he's
know.
so hot."
We also need to know she loves books because her sister
Oh,
has
God,
to
yeah.
unpack her bag and go, "Why are you trying to take literally your entire library?"
It's like, well, and sister's
What
like,
if I
"You're
want to
gonna
read
fucking
something?"
die."
I hate nothing more than a main character that likes books.
Like if it's their whole personality, and in Violet, it's her whole personality.
That's one thing that I really loved about Feyre was she was like, not only like does she not like
I
books,
can't
she
read. And like, but Nesta was a good
it was
balance
such a
of liking
twist.
books, though. Like Nesta
Yeah.
was fun. Like that was fine. It
Yeah.
just it
But
depends
it
on.
was just such a funny twist.
You know what I think made Nesta work was that she started reading
It
with
was
other
smart.
people, including the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was smut, which is a lot more fun than I like to read. Anyways,
Yeah.
so she meets the best friend character, and I don't know how to say her name.
I think it's
Rhiannon?
Rhiannon.
Rhiannon? Okay, I just called her Riri. Like Rihanna.
Oh,
That's fine.
for the
Riri-
love of
Riri
goodness
works.
sake, I'm sorry that I'm muting myself. I'm eating dinner. For the love
That's
of
fine.
goodness sake, if you are going to make up words, I don't care if you think that people are like totally gonna know how to pronounce your stupid made up words. Put
Rhiannon's a real name.
pronunciation
name.
guide.
It's a real name.
Well,
I've never
I
seen
mean,
that
that
one.
one.
that's though. This could also be the narrator's fault.
Mm.
So it may not be her. It may be the narrator, but the narrator pronounced it Rhiannon or something.
Okay.
It wasn't Rhiannon. I know that. I think it was.
I'm
Rhiannon.
just gonna call her Rihanna. That's just easier.
Okay. A lot of these
we'll
words
call
felt
her-
made up, though.
Yeah.
So
Am I wrong?
No. Well,
Maybe I am wrong.
Well,
I don't know.
a fair few of them are, but I guess that's also kind of to be expected in.
but like that's fantasy, you know? Yeah, like it wasn't any more than normal.
Include a pronunciation guide.
Yeah, yes, still
I think
yes.
I'm pretty sure she actually used birthday in this though.
She did, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, so when she meets Rihanna, she met some other guy, he died. Just to show, oh, we're killing people in this. We're edgy. She starts reciting history for world building.
Yeah. She also meets Paul. Paul?
That must be the guy that died.
No. The one that's like, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh God, Jack.
I'm gonna kill you. Jack
was a very special boy. This was so annoying. It felt so gimmicky. This felt like the biggest fucking gimmick because he just sees her and he's like, "You're fresh meat. I'm gonna fucking kill you." But he's just as fresh meat as she is.
Oh, because also her
it was
hair,
so
right?
cartoony. So cartoony.
Yeah, I'm pretty. This sounds like it's also related to her physical thing as well. Her hair cannot retain its pigment, so she's naturally a brunette. Except her hair loses its color the longer it exists. So she ends up with like
and her hair's like waist length.
Yeah, and she's got like an ombre of like from brown to silver, right?
Yeah.
And
a natural fantasy ombre feels. I know we have like characters with purple eyes, but a natural fantasy ombre feels very much like the only character with purple eyes. At least, if you're gonna do it, I don't know. Make that like a naturally occurring hair color. That's my only thing.
Well, okay, well, let's go back to Game of Thrones for just 1 second because the Targaryens in the books
they have blonde hair.
They've got that, but they also have violet eyes.
Yes,
like in the show, they did blue eyes.
Yeah,
but I'm also okay with the concept. I'm also okay though with the concept of violet eyes in books because it's like how green is actually technically just a shade of blue eyes, genetically speaking. But
I feel like it changes because right now, how I look at it, from my distance to my screen, my eyes look green to me, and I have straight up blue eyes.
Yeah, so like two blue-eyed people can have a green-eyed kid. It's the same. It comes from the same genetic quirk, mutation, whatever. And I could see that violet eyes having the same thing. I could see that happening because like it's violet being connected to blue.
I don't mind it at all either. Like obviously we did it in Blackwoods.
Yeah, but because we said it's fun, why not? And we have fun here.
Yeah,
and we also we threw in like pink and red because we were like, fuck it, this is fun. We were just and we just made them we just made all of the eye colors just less rare. Because we thought it was fun.
Yeah, why not?
And honestly, gray and gold are the most common eye colors in the Blackwoods universe.
Now, if she had, you know how like because this actually naturally happens as well, but like
like a gray streak,
like rogue in
like X-Men, that's an actual like where the pigment doesn't.
Or like Anna in Frozen, where she's just got like the random like
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, it looks pretty. Sure, her ombre looks pretty. At least in the fan art. The fan art made it pretty, and I imagine it would be. It's just weird, but so this guy sees her, and everyone knows that she is because her mother's a general or whatever the fuck.
Her mother's the general of the army, of the Dragon Riders or whatever, and also a bitch. But
so everyone knows that she's the general's weak ass daughter, based on her hair. Because her sister was like, "You really need to cut your hair so you're not identifiable," and she's like, "No, I want to keep my hair." Which I'm not mad at her for refusing to cut her hair.
No, that's fine.
And that's also very much a fantasy female main character trope where whenever the females generally have their hair cut, they're like, "Absolutely not! I'm keeping my hair long," and I'm fine with that trope of the MC refusing to cut her hair.
But
she actually does the smart thing in this as well. She constantly keeps it in like a braid.
Yeah,
crown.
like a Nesta, because Nesta does that too. She has the crown on top of her head of braids. And I love that. I love that for her. Anyways, Jack feels gimmicky. It's like Jack from House of Night. It feels like a fucking walking trope. A walking stereotype. And it's bad. It's just badly written.
Like I will say though, if she was gonna have a relationship with anyone that has an enemies to lovers tag
Jack.
to it,
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
That would be enemies to
Like-
lovers because they literally fight. She poisons him. Give me that book and
Like,
advertise
this
it as
is-
enemies to
like-
lovers.
like their first interaction ends with her holding a dagger to his scrotum.
Yep. That's enemies to
And-
lovers.
Like,
Not Zayden
Whereas-
going, I'm not going to kill you right now because you'll probably die anyways. Meh, I'm brooding.
and then from that interaction onwards, he's either passively or actively helping her
Yes.
not die. And then the one time she overhears him talking to his buds in their super secret illegal meeting, he's like, yeah, no one's gonna kill her, okay? Cool.
Yeah. Carbos,
Like,
Warbos.
and I'm like, why? And then when he, like, later on when he's just like, oh no, yeah, there
He
was
has
a
taken
like,
over.
the moment when I saved your life, like the 8th time that I realized maybe I like you. And it's like that felt forced as well because he never disliked her. You
No.
can tell he never
And
disliked her, not once.
This shouldn't have been advertised as enemies to lovers. This should have just been advertised as forced proximity. Because that is
Or
what this
star-crossed-
this is.
Star-crossed
This is
works.
star-crossed forced proximity. That's really what this is because they have forced proximity.
I just want to say also, enemies to lovers is super specific. And
Yeah.
can I just say, everybody and their brother is advertising their book as enemies to lovers
And it's
when
not.
it's really just like got off on the wrong foot.
Yeah. Or this,
like, if you-
disgruntled.
If he had he asked his dragon to fly over the top of her really, really close while she was crossing the thingy,
Mm-hmm.
Can you get up?
like to like startle her, have it being a little
Have her
bit
fall
extra
off.
windy,
Yeah.
like, you know, even if it
Oh,
was
gosh.
just that one thing, like where it was just like I've kind of orchestrated an event that could kill you without me getting in trouble for killing you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would work. That would absolutely work. And like even
I can hear carbine swallow.
I'm sorry.
precious. He's just like, Mommy, I love you.
Thank you, Bubba.
But yeah, no, so yeah, she makes it across the thingy and has
Yes.
that showdown with
Rihanna.
Oh, and while she is crossing this thing, she's like, "Oh, I need to stay calm. So let me."
she starts reciting world building stuff.
Yeah, and at first I thought it was in her head until the narrator starts shouting, and I realized as she's crossing, she is shouting this out loud while she's crossing.
People think she's fucking weird. No wonder Jack wants to kill her, actually.
I can't blame him.
Anyways,
You're like,
so
oh,
Rihanna,
let me see if I can find. Yo,
it's
I'm
in
gonna
chapter 2.
try and find. Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Chapter
Oh yeah,
2 or 3.
the trade agreement of Rassin signed more than 200 years ago ensures the exchange of meat and lumber from Navarre for the clothing and agriculture within something 4 times a year at the something outpost.
And
on
we
the
don't
border
need
of
to know
something.
any of this. Can
I don't need
just
to know your
say-
fucking trade route.
Yeah.
Or your
The
trade
Can I
kingdom
route.
just say also,
Central
real
The
quick,
kingdom.
writing advice from Book Club of Bay. This is something Addie and I were talking about when she was here. Everything as you're like writing, whether it's prose or anything else, is all stimulus and response. So like, as something pops up, right? Like
response.
we see a bridge, and maybe it's like a particularly nice bridge, okay?
Or
and
maybe
it's like,
it's a bridge with historical significance.
or
Then you
it's
can talk
under
about it.
construction or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
Something weird is happening at the bridge for some reason. It's glowing. I don't fucking know. There's a quest at the bridge, a side quest. Yay, whatever. That's the
There's a
stimulus.
suspicious rock that you throw off the edge, and a Korok goes, "Yeah, ha, ha!" You
Yeah.
know, like
But yeah, like she's input up in here, like the continent is home to 2 kingdoms, and we've been at war for 400 years. Navarre, my home, is the larger kingdom with 6 unique provinces. Rah, 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 rah. Oh,
Also,
who
that's
cares?
not
Like, we
even,
don't need
those
to know
aren't
all
even
that.
facts. Those are not even facts, but like you would actually recite in that situation. It would be something like 1 + 1 is 2. Anyway, moving on. But what I was going to say is that the stimulus is like weird bridge. Response is like there was a weird bridge,
Yeah.
and it looks like this. And the reason it looks like that is because of this. And people are looking at it like this. And I, the main character, think that that's kind of silly because X, Y, and Z. Or I think it's cool because X, Y, and Z. Or I cannot wait for this traffic to be whatever.
Yeah. An example of where she actually does it in this kind of is like when the dragons come, they land on the walls, and I think she had already mentioned that the walls are like 10 foot thick, and she goes, "Oh, that explains why those walls are 10 foot thick because they're a perched dragon."
That makes sense. She does this multiple times throughout the book, and it's just to get world building that's irrelevant out there.
Like, and I will say the way that this was done, because the beginning part of that whole rant thing actually is relevant to the world building, and that we kind of need to know, like, because it breaks down like the 6 different regions of where they are, and because then they start referencing them as it goes on, like, oh, I'm from blah blah, and it's like, oh well, you're from the bad place. I still can't remember what the bad place is called because it was info dumped.
I never know. I never knew.
I can't remember.
But you could tell us where the bad place. Here's the thing, though. When someone's like, "I'm from the bad place," she could go, "Oh my gosh!"
And then we can get the info dump.
And then you can tell me why you're upset.
And regarding the continent is home to 2 kingdoms, and we've been at war. Like they get across there. They're like, look. And have like
that's why you need the dragon riders or whatever.
Yeah, like have one of the dragons say like, we are at war with bloody blah, and while they have griffins, we have
and then have her like side eye the guy from bloody blah.
Yeah, and then have her also like break into like because we get all of this quote unquote relevant information, but she's just yelling at crossing a bridge with a bunch of random shit about trade routes that I automatically just don't give a shit.
Yeah, I know.
About any of it.
I just skim past it because I'm like, oh, this is irrelevant information that I'm not going to need later. And in some books, you do actually need it later. And this one, it was not the case. You did not need it later.
Unless the next book is just a riveting
about trade discussions. Anyways, Rihanna,
it's the 4th Phantom Menace. That's what it is.
Yep. So the chapter 2 quote is, there's a misconception that it's kill or be killed in the riders quadrant. Riders as a whole aren't out to assassinate other cadets unless there's a shortage of dragons that year or a cadet is a liability to their wing. Then things may get interesting. I'm also okay with that one.
That one's fine. It's early on. It's early on.
And it's setting a tone. It's not actually giving away what's about to happen.
It does give away the entire plot of the book.
It does, but not in a way that is just like, oh, now I'm not surprised that this is happening.
Yeah,
like
because I mean, you already
feel
knew.
Surprised.
Yeah,
this is also one of those books. Sorry, that based on like the blurb, you actually don't know if you're supposed to be like in it for the plot or in it for the romance, and like nor do you buy like the actual tone of the everything in the book. Know that as you're reading it, whether or not you're supposed to be reading it for the plot or for the romance. So up to that point, I had also just not really been paying attention because based on book talk, I was like, there's no plot.
You should have learned your lesson with ACOTAR. Always assume there's plot.
Yeah.
Always assume there's plot.
So, the chapter 3 one is Blue Dragons descend from the extraordinary whatever the fuck that is line, known for their formidable size. Just a brief description of blue dragons, especially the blue dagger tail, and this is the chapter in which we find out that Xaden has a blue dagger tail.
Oh dragon. Yeah. Okay, so Brianna is friends now because we switched shoes with her. So she lives.
Yeah.
Violet stumbles into Dane. She's hurt because obviously she's hurt. He takes her to his room. He's like, we got to get you out of here. She's offended. They talk it out. Rihanna and Violet.
If anyone was surprised by the Dane betrayal in this book,
no
of
shit.
course it was going to betray her.
Anyways, Rihanna and Violet get put into Dane's squad that is now under Xaden's command. Dun dun dun. It's the 4th wing.
Honestly, also this structure was unnecessarily complicated. So
oh my god, I have no idea what's happening.
So there's 4 wings, and then there's 4
squads within it. Yeah.
No, 4 squads. So there's like wing squad, tail squad, claw squad. I'm guessing there's 2 claw squads. I don't know because I'm pretty sure there's 4 squads in each wing.
Yeah. I
And
guess
then
unless it's like head squad.
yeah, and then the and then the squads are broken up into sections, and I can't remember how many sections there are to a squad. And yes, I do get that army formations are like this, but I don't understand, and it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't need to be this complicated. It's a fantasy book. It doesn't need to be this complicated.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. So this is the first instance of one of my biggest gripes with this book. Dane and her later are chatting and walking around, and they see Xaden, and then Xaden starts chasing her, and then it chapter cuts to her in class.
I lied as well. Sorry. It's 3 squads in a section and 3 sections in each of the 4 wings. So.
Okay, but what happened with Xaden chasing her? And then it suddenly cuts to her in class. This happens so many times where she ends a chapter in the middle of something, and then the next chapter acts like it never happened. It irritates me to no end, and it feels cheap, and it makes me not value anything the author is saying at that point.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It makes me feel like nothing's
run, Violet. Dane orders me now. I bolt. Welcome to your first battle, Brave.
What the fuck is that? Anyways, now she's in class. Class is okay. Sparring class is how you'd expect it. She gets her ass kicked. She goes to the mender, and it's gonna keep happening. So she's like, "Stop! Don't mend me because I don't want them to know I'm weak." And Dane's like, "Everyone knows, you dumbass. That's why I want to get you out of here."
Yeah, I had forgotten that had happened, but now I do remember like that run thing, and then cut to class. If he had said, "Get to class to Violet now," I bolt.
Yeah. It's so stupid. I hate it. Later,
I also real quick just on just some of the terminology here that we're using. Just within the text, because this is supposed to be chronic illness, your representation.
Yes.
On the usage of the term weak and stuff like that. Like, because weak, I don't, and I'm not chronically disabled, or I'm not chronically ill. Sorry, and I'm not disabled in that way. So I don't actually know like what terminology, is even appropriate. It's something I would have to look up or ask somebody about. But weak.
We'll just say chronically syndromes for now.
Yeah,
well, weak implies in a fantasy novel, right? We haven't done the Rocky montage yet.
Yes.
And don't worry, we're gonna lift some weights.
Well, and that's literally what happens.
A-okay.
And that's literally what happens.
And I can't speak for anybody, obviously, but just when you're billing it as representing chronic illness is chronic.
Yeah, it doesn't go away by her doing her Rocky montage, and the mentions of it get less and less and less and less throughout the whole book. And I get you don't want to be overbearing about it, but at the same time,
well, that's how chronic illness works.
Exactly.
Isn't it kind of, I don't know, chronic?
It's
and also
life-consuming.
I'm pretty sure if chronic illness could go away with a Rocky montage, everybody would
do Rocky montages.
Look, they don't look, she's not better, cured, whatever by the end. Like she needs a saddle.
Not at all. Yeah.
She needs a saddle, stuff like that. However, I feel like this would have been better if she was a very sickly baby, very sickly baby. She was overly coddled by her father and older siblings. She was never given the opportunity to be strong at all.
Yeah.
She just got locked away in the scribes quadrant training with her dad, whatever. Whatever. Like she was just because again, she's significantly younger than her siblings.
She's 20 and her sister is like 30.
Yeah, and her brother died 5 years ago, and he went through the 3-year thing as well. Her sister's already been through this 3-year thing, so the sister is at least I would say the sister is at least 4 years older than her or something.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually get.
But she's also already famous, so I would say she's older than that even.
I know. I'm just gonna say I think she's at least 4 years,
4.
probably more realistically, more like 5 to 6. Then the brother was probably a similar age gap between them two.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy to picture how her brother, who is probably about 15 years older than her or something. And she also mentioned as well that she was quite young when the brother went off to join the writers thing. So the brother's probably 15, 20 years older than her. Her sister's probably 5, 10 years older than her. It's very easy to see how she could be very coddled as the sickly baby of the family.
Yeah.
Just sickly. She doesn't have to be chronically, just sickly, and then a lot more of this would make sense. Because then she actually could Rocky montage, actually get stronger, because she's like, oh wow, so people are actually like letting me actually, cut my own meat now. Huzzah.
Yeah.
But you could also still have the saddle thing or whatever, because also like not a lot's going to make up.
He's the biggest dragon. Also,
second biggest. Thank you. How dare you?
Whatever. He's the second biggest dragon. It's fine if a 5'2" bitch needs a saddle.
Yeah,
it's
and
okay.
even like a small fully grown dragon is incredibly big compared to a person. Like,
and she's very
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that scale drawing is pretty close to accurate in terms of size and stuff.
Yeah,
she is. One of his claws is like the length of her torso. I think she said. Like, that's just how much bigger he is than her.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like one of the issues in that, though, was his scales are too jagged, because, like, she doesn't need to hold on, like doesn't need to struggle to hold on to that beast.
It's her thighs.
I know, but he's got scales everywhere. She just needs like spikes all over him in that picture.
Yeah.
So I don't think that picture's accurate in terms of his texture, because she could just wedge her legs in
between some spikes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that up just as an aside, because we're seeing almost like this you could run to like Alex when she gets back to like the Covenant or whatever, or like Rose in Vampire Academy or whatever, when they get to like the place and they're initially like untrained, and then it's like, well, you are weak, and it's like, when you are introducing the element of actual chronic illness into it, you're going to have to handle it differently than every other YA book before you.
Yeah, and look, I can see her getting quote unquote stronger compared to at the beginning of the book, because that's to be expected.
Yes, of course.
And I'm going to reserve my final judgment until we're like finished the next 4 books, whenever the fuck they come out.
Right.
Sure.
Well, the second one's coming out in November, so.
Yeah, I think she had perfectly like outlined the entire series before she even long before this book was ever published.
I will also say that is good, because we hate it when it's a 3-book series and then suddenly we have 5 books. At least it's outlined for 5.
She did say in that TikTok like that, whether or not that changes is a different story, but at the moment it is 100% fully outlined. It's set up for 5 books. She's structured it into a 3-act plot structure across the series. So I think the big end of this book is the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
The next books 2 and 3 are probably Act 2, or books 2, 3, and 4 are Act 2, and then the last book would be Act 3.
Well, because I mean, the next one is gonna be the standard.
Set up a book 2 bullshit. The next one is set up a book 2 bullshit.
And it's also going to be the standard getting to know the enemy. We saw this with From Blood and Ash. It's the exact thing that happened in From Blood and Ash. The second one was getting to know the Atlanteans, getting over the book 2 bullshit.
Yep. She's chosen one, because she is chosen one. I don't know exactly how chosen one will play out in this series.
Yeah, I don't either. But
she is the chosen one.
But anyways, so later she's going out to get shit. Yeah, we're making our way. She sees a gaggle of rebel kids hanging out while she's trying to go. Yes, get poison for a battle later.
That's
for
right as well,
sparring.
because her sister had snuck into her room and left her
her brother's journal.
It's kind of like a journal, kind of like a letter to the sister.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's instructions for her.
To go
documenting
through
his time.
the writer's school.
Yeah. And yeah, so she had mentioned in that, like, he had told the sister how to find out who you're going to be versing in each of the challenges.
Yes.
So she's been using that information, and she's from here on out she's going to be pre-poisoning all of her rivals.
Mm-hmm.
Because she can't fight for shit.
The gaggle of rebel kids, we mentioned this briefly earlier, are talking about Violet, and Zayden's like, I got her. No one hurts her. Okay, cool. Why? But whatever. He sees her and they chat. And it's fine. Next class, they learn about types of dragons, and we learned about a black dragon that's rare. So obviously, Violet's getting that one.
Yeah, as soon as I know that they had to mention, what the fuck is his name?
Tarn.
There we go. Yep. I know that they had to mention him.
Yeah.
I know they had to.
Well, and they mention Annie or whatever her name is too. Andromedus Rex.
Yara.
Whatever. The names of the dragons are like dragon names are ridiculous, so I get it. It's fine. But I can't remember them for the life of me.
The baby girl is Andara. I know that.
So Andara, they mention her type first too.
Yes. Yes. So, but that wasn't quite as, because you didn't know, like, when she rocks up, right, everyone just thinks that she's just a feathertail. We find out later that feathertails are actually like between hatchling and adult.
Yeah, they're just baby dragons, teenage dragons.
Yeah. But with him, right, there was a way to do it in a way that wasn't so blatantly obvious. Like, as soon as they started talking about this black dragon, I'm like, oh, I wonder who's going to pick her. And then when Andara comes along later, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize that she would end up bonding with two of them.
I did not realize that either. That was a surprise.
I thought that Andara was actually there, like, I don't know, because dragons have magic. We know that dragons have magic. Yeah. Maybe it was him glamored. Maybe
that's what I was thinking.
Scout, or she was there as a scout for him, or something.
I was thinking something like that.
I knew she would be connected to her bonding to Black Dragon dude, but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
Andara is probably my favorite character in this book.
I like her, and I like Tarn.
Yeah, because every time Andara does something, she like needs a nap because she's a baby.
Fair. I liked the dragons, and like I said, if it was a dragon shifter romance instead, I would be so much more here.
One day I will write
her banter. Her banter with Tarn, who is a married man, by the way, which makes it spicy. Yes. Anyways, he's a married man. It's so good. Their banter is so good.
Oh,
anyways.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we also need to just do a quick lore rundown as well. Okay, so
like the dragons have wives.
Riders. Yeah, dragons choose their riders though. Not the other way around. Dragons have no issue killing other dragons' riders either. When this references earlier, when your dragon dies, it doesn't matter if you're absolutely fine. When your bonded dragon dies, you die. It just happens. However, when
they can move on without you, though.
Yeah. Although we learn later about him, not so much. When his last rider died, he was absolutely devastated. He almost offed himself or died or whatever. And no one thinks that he can. Anyone with half a brain doesn't think that he can survive losing another bonded rider. Dragons also have mate bonds themselves. And
we don't know if people have mating bonds. As of now, they don't.
Yes,
they definitely do.
But but definitely.
I think in this world they're going to have a super special, unique mating bond because it's like
because their dragons are mated too. Yeah.
And one thing about him as well is because of his size and his power and everything, the more powerful the dragon, the stronger the bond, which is why he felt his riders lost so deeply. His mate bond also, if he lost his mate, he'd be
dead.
Die.
Yeah.
And so we'll get more into that bit. There was something else as well, but I can't remember what it is. When it pops back in, I'll just interrupt.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll forget.
So at sparring all the time, she poisons her enemies, and this just keeps going on and on until she has to spar with Zayden, and then they try to do sexual tension, but it doesn't hit very well as they spar.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, later her and Jade talk about how she's been getting
It was-
threats.
Yeah. This was supposed to be like Dimitri and Rose sparring, or Aiden and Alex sparring. And when Aiden and Alex have more chemistry than your love interest,
You know it's bad when Agape Moo beats you.
I mean, look, say
When
what you
Zoe
will. Agape
and
Moo-
Eric have better chemistry.
Zoe and Eric had chemistry. They
Okay,
did.
who is
I'm
when
sorry.
Zoe and Heath have better chemistry? You failed. And Zoe and
Yeah.
Heath have better chemistry.
I mean,
No,
honestly
it's-
though, Agape Moo, like their chemistry is fine. Like, it's
I
fine.
don't. There's time. Look, her response to it, I don't know. There's something off about it, but maybe it's just
In the
because
first-
I can't stand Agape Moo.
In the first
don't
book,
know.
Agape Moo.
no, I mean like the couple, not the Agape Moo part.
Yeah.
couple
Once
is
they're a
fine.
couple,
Now-
they're fine.
But also Agape Moo is a better nickname than Violence. Anyways.
It is.
I was actually, I almost wrote that, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to be slaughtered
To
today, so I
admit that.
didn't.
Well, also I don't know if I'm ready to admit that, right? Like
But we have
I am,
Agape
I'll
Moo
admit
is
Kitten.
it's
is
far less
better.
cringy because at least Kitten was better.
Kitten.
Cuddle Bunny,
Oh, Cuddle
Cuddle
Bunny.
Cuddle Bunny.
Cuddle Bunny at least like had
It felt
I don't know.
satirical. Violence
well,
does
it
not
had
feel
some
satirical.
personality behind it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
Violence
wait,
has no backing because she's not
Nickname
violent.
For
She has a
Violet.
mental
I'm-
breakdown when she kills someone. She's not violent.
Look, even if he'd called it a VV or Bye Bye, you know, like something like
I would
annoying,
have accepted that.
I would have accepted Bye Bye because it would have been like, hey, Bye Bye. And she'd be like, stop calling me that. It's awful.
Hi.
And he'd be like, okay, Bye Bye. Like, that's
Okay,
fine. 'cause
bye
he's
bye bye
taunting
bye
her.
bye bye. Yeah. But violence, and
it's
he calls her
taunting,
it
but-
and serious. God.
And because then, but the thing is, though, as well, like, the one time he actually does call her Violet, she's like, oh, shit is serious because he never calls me that. But then when
Right.
shit is actually like 30 times more serious, he's like, Violence,
Violence,
don't leave
no.
me. Violence, I swear, I never lied to you. It's like, now is the time to say Violet.
Yes.
Now is the time.
Because
Yes.
I'm sorry, like the dropping of the nickname is like
I
the
hate-
best trope.
I
I mean, like,
Yeah.
when like a nickname
when
is dropped
done
and it's like-
right,
well, yeah. That's what I
but
mean, like, you-
most all times it's too cringe for me, which is odd
Yeah.
for me. But most of the time it's way too cringe.
Yeah, like even
This
like
was an example.
But like even like Eric calling Zoe Z, and then everyone's like, "Oh, he gave you a really cute nickname." That whole scenario was less cringy than Violence.
Yes, 1,000%. Nerd herd is better than violence. You heard it here first. Nerd herd wins. Army
Look,
of
again,
Awesome
and-
does not. Army of Awesome does not win. Auto.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
No, violence.
No.
Army of Awesome might be better.
Oh,
no,
God.
no, because
I feel like
Army
feel
of
like a
Awesome,
better-
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Because Army
I'm
of
going
Awesome
back
is too
to-
generic. It's too generic.
It is true.
Because at least
like I
Nerd
said before,
Herd
I
is
feel
like
Petal would have. I feel like been a better
too much. No, Petal's weird.
nickname.
That's
I know,
weird.
but
But
better
it
than
would be
Violence.
better than violence. Oh, God, Auto.
Because
No.
it's condescending. It's condescending. It's calling her like a little precious flower. You know,
Hi,
and-
Otto. Thank you. I need this right now.
like
Here's
I
your
feel like
speech.
Petal has the condescension that Violence was supposed to have to it. I don't know. There had to have been a better name that was
God,
nicknamed that was
I hate
still-
it.
You know, like Violet.
Yeah.
I
Anyways,
know.
so
I don't know. There had to have been
Okay,
something.
we need to keep going.
yes,
What's
Jade.
happening?
We are not even halfway done. Okay.
Oh,
Jade.
yeah. So wait, that was the other power thing as well. So when you bond your dragon and they start channeling their powers to you, you get minor magic. So like you can make
Oh,
things
yes.
like lights appear. You can use a ballpoint pen now. Huzzah! I don't know. Apparently, like that's in my head
no.
what it is. It's a ballpoint pen now. And then you also get your signet, which is your super special power, which is a blunt
Yes.
combination of you and your dragon's major power, whatever, and that. And Dane's one is
Memory.
if he says that if he touches your temples, and we find out later, no. If he touches your temples, he can see your recent memories.
Oh, no, what are you doing?
And Zayden's is
I couldn't tell you.
Controls shadows. He controls shadows,
Yes.
but I think
Oh, yeah, he's Reese. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah,
he's Reese.
but his shadows can do stuff. Like I think his shadows can restrain people or catch him if he falls.
Yes,
You know, like
yes.
they're not like they can be as solid or as not solid as he needs them to be at any given point. I don't know, but in the dark he's super powerful because it's all shadow. He's not Reese though.
It's annoying because it's definitely inspired by Reese.
Probably.
Dane has, speaking of Reese, Dane has Tamlin syndrome where he's like, I need you to leave so you can be safe. And Zayden has Reese syndrome.
I was getting
like,
so
I'm going to teach you how to be safe. Yeah, whatever. She agrees to think about leaving. They do an obstacle course. Someone you meet that chapter dies. It's been 2 months.
Yeah. Like Dane was, look, they still could have had Dane do the thing where like I need you to leave, but 100% of their interaction was you're a weak little Violet and you need to get the fuck out. And it got to be, it was too much.
Yes.
That's the thing as well. Everything in this book was either too much or not enough.
Yes.
Was there anything that was just right?
No, I was overwhelmed and underwhelmed. Our stars, guys. We never said our stars.
Oh,
shit. 2.
I'm gonna go. Look, I'm gonna go with 2. Potentially, like I said, potentially a week 3, and I'll tell you what the potential for the week 3 is.
No.
1. No, shush. Potential for the week 3 is I like my dragon friends. Because if it was this book without dragons, for me it would still be a 2. Everything exactly the same without dragons, it's still a 2. It's not freaking so atrocious it needs a 1, I don't think.
Yes.
Agreed. No, it's not. But dragons in 20 hours of sledge is not worth like anything more than a 2.
If the next book somehow is absolutely incredible and insanely amazing, we'll see. But I don't think it will be. Anyways, people keep dying. She and Zayden chat. He's like, you can survive. Now it's time for the official run of this obstacle course that she can't complete because she's short. She does it with help, but she like kind of cheeses it and gets almost in trouble. But people are like, there's no rule against it, so whatever. Dragons are going rider shopping. Oh, that's another thing. All of the side characters blend into one, except for Rihanna. Rihanna and Liam later, and Jack. All the other ones, there's like 6 other friends. I couldn't tell you a lick about any of them because they're all so one-dimensional and they're one character. They're all like, you should bond with this weak dragon that no one wants. A lot of people try. All the dragons like her.
Yeah. One of I had no idea why the fuck the 2 green dragons were coming over being like, let's smell you, right?
Yeah, right? Like, why did all the dragons like her? I don't understand.
And I'm like, oh, is this the precursor to like her being the chosen one? Like,
yeah, right.
Special? And no, it just turns out that they could smell their buddy on her because her vest was made out of their buddy's scales. Also, her sister's dragon's name is Tiny. And I'm wondering if it's ironic or if he's just a really small dragon.
I think either way is great. They get their dragons. People like dragons like her, but no one's wanting to bond with her. So like literally, and them trying to find their dragons is just them walking around in the woods. That's it. That's all it is. She overhears Jack specifically looking for her and not a dragon because he wants to kill her for some reason.
No, they're looking for Andara.
Oh, they're looking for the feather tail, but they're also looking for Violet to kill her.
Yeah.
Why not?
And
yeah, they want to kill Andara.
And Andara, she's like bright, shining gold. She can't
sunshine yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, I need to protect this thing because at this point, again, they just think that Feathertails are just really placid, docile, peace-loving. They know almost nothing about them.
Yeah. Because
dragons.
Feathertails keep themselves secret.
Yeah, and whilst all the other dragons are like, again, her big black dragon dude, his claw, one of his claws is described from memory as being the same length as her torso or her body, one of the other. Whereas Andara is only a couple feet bigger than her.
Yeah.
So like Andara's like the size of a horse.
So she's tiny and he's big.
Yeah. And she's like, I need to yeah. She's like, I need to protect this dragon. So she bolts back. I actually kind of did. I didn't hate this scene. I liked.
I didn't hate the scene. Xaden is also here, like just watching this whole thing go down.
Yeah.
Because
but it's so funny because she's like,
his dragon's
you need
boyfriend
to fly.
is here.
Yeah, she's like, you need to fly, and Dara's just like blinking at her, like, what's going on? And she's like, where's your fire?
Go
no fire.
away.
She's like, where are your claws? No claws. And she's like, can you even fly? And she's like, what's going on? And Xaden's there with I can't remember her name, Sephora. We'll call her Sephora.
Sephora. Yeah, that works.
Sephora's standing there too, and yeah, they're like, we're gonna kill you, and she's like, no, I'm gonna kill you, and they battle, and Jack runs away because it's like, I'm scared, and then big motherfucker appears, and he's like,
and then
that's with the way silver one.
Yeah, and he talks to her, he chooses her, and Dara chooses her as well. People are freaking the fuck out. Dane is like, choose the smaller one because Taryn is mated to Xaden's dragon and you'd be stuck with him for the rest of your life. Xaden and her are now tied together for the rest of their lives. Forced proximity, anyone? Dane kisses her. She doesn't like it. Anyways.
Yeah, she's like, I'm waiting my whole life for this and this is gross.
I'm not here for it.
And you know what? I'm not going to lie. I would have the exact same reaction. Because with how he has been behaving this whole book, I mean, look, if I was as like fragile as her, I feel like my husband would also be like, absolutely the fuck not. You're not going to dragon school.
Yeah.
But then if it was at the point where I'm like, no, I'm stuck in dragon school. This is what I'm doing. I then think
I would hope.
like,
that
he'd be like, okay, well, let's not get you dead. He's not going to be standing there going, don't do this, because I'm already stuck there. I'm there. It's done.
Yeah.
Because also I feel like Xaden also, if her and Xaden had met prior and they weren't quote unquote disgruntled with each other, he would have also been like, hey, maybe riding school is not the best place for you. I feel, but now that she's there, he's like, okay, well, let's try to not get you dead.
Yeah. So people are being nice to Violet because Xaden told them to. We start flying class. She keeps falling off Taryn's back.
It's not because of Xaden. It's because of her dragon. Everyone's terrified of her dragon.
Well, also Xaden told them to be nice.
The other rebel children.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I thought you were talking about like everyone. Yeah, no. Everyone though is catering to her like crazy.
Yes,
though, like everyone.
Because also she got 2 dragons to bond to her. That's like insane.
And again, like the second biggest and if not the strongest, the second strongest dragon ever known ever.
Yeah,
is her dragon.
So her and Dane clear the air about the kiss being a mistake, but for different reasons. Because he's like, I'm your superior. And she's like, I just don't like you like that. But she doesn't say that. And Imogen, which was one of the rebel bitches, is like, let's train now. So she's down with the scribes later, aka her old friends. There's been attacks on the border. Just know that the entire time there's attacks on the border because we're at war or something. Her friends are happy. She is happy. Everything. Dane's mad that she didn't tell him that she keeps falling off Taryn. They fight. Later she wakes up with people trying to kill her.
Like tariffs? I just don't realize that. Like tariffs or like border crossings, border crossing taxes. What kind of taxes?
What?
No, Taryn.
On the border.
No, there's attacks. Taryn is a dragon.
No, I said like a tariff or like on goods or
attack
or like,
on the
attack, not attack.
Yeah, an attack.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fighting.
Attack and turn.
Is talking about trade. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. No. So
also, sorry, when she did the obstacle course thing and she quote unquote cheated, but didn't technically cheat due to the strict spirit of the wording.
Yeah. In the
well, not
obstacle
spirit,
course
letter of the law, as opposed to the spirit of the law. There we go. She didn't cheat, and one of the other wing leaders is like not happy with her at all.
Yeah.
And so that's relevant to this next bit.
Yes.
Let's.
She is there trying to kill what's her nuts.
Yeah. So a bunch of unbonded people, including one of the people that was trying to kill Andara in the clearing. They're trying to kill her, and she's like, no, what do I do? And then I can't remember what Andara shouts in her head, but Andara shouts like something in her head, and time stops.
Then freezes time for Xaden to get there.
Well, Xaden's in the doorway.
Yeah. And then
she's just and Dara's like, get the fuck out. I don't know how long I can hold it. Please, like, get the knife
go
away
to
from her,
Xaden, please.
Go to so boyfriend. She does.
Thank you. Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'm done. I'm taking a nap now. And time restarts. And Xaden's like, and Amber, I think her name was the other wing leader. She had already yeeted. Mm-hmm. We don't know who it is at this point. Though.
Also, she fully realizes she wants to have sex with Xaden. Like, literally, that's her thought process.
Yeah,
I want
but
to
Xaden kills. Yeah.
Yes.
So all the unbonded are trying to kill her, thinking that if they can kill her, they'll prove to Tan or whatever the fuck his name is.
Tan. Yeah. I have it written down now.
And I'm like, you. Obviously, they don't understand this dragon's brain, but I don't see him ever accepting the person that killed his rider.
Yeah. No. So Xaden is assigning her. Oh, go.
And Xaden's like, what happened? And she's like, they tried to kill me. They wanted my dragon. And he's like, cool. And he's like, there's something you're not telling me. And she goes, no, there's not. And she's like, yes, there is. And he's like, well, there was some. He's like, how did they get into your room? And she goes, well, there was someone there. And he's like, who? And she's like, I don't want to tell you because you won't believe me. And he's like, just fucking tell me, please. Absolutely tell me. So she does, but we still don't know who it is. And then the next morning, nothing's happened. Everyone's like, what's wrong with
They also talk about they talk about the time stopping thing, and Xaden and Taryn are like, do not tell a soul. As long with
oh, that's
Sephora.
right, yeah.
Sephora is also like, do not tell a soul. They're all in agreement.
Yeah, so
it's not just them, it's Xaden, a gaggle.
Yeah. And so Xaden can talk to her dragon, not Andara, the other one. She Taryn, can talk to Sephora.
Yes. And they can talk to each other.
Yes, and it's all via the dragon's mate bond, which is why he can't talk to Andara because she's not part of that.
But also, like, I don't know if it's because, like, it was an ACOTAR, but, like, the mental link thing, I can only take so much of it. And in this one, it was, like, all their dirty talk is through the mental link, and I hated it. I don't know if it was just because, like, I'm burnt out on it from ACOTAR, because in ACOTAR it was done really well, and I really liked it. But now, here I was like, it's not hitting for me.
No.
I guess because, like, you know, if I thought I don't know, it hit different weird, like, here for me too, but, like, it's done very differently, like, say, in, like, the Mercy Thompson books, for example, is another place where they do the mental link thing, but it's never used for dirty talk. Thank goodness.
Literally, I was looking at the sex scene.
Can you imagine if they were mentally nudging each other?
It's honestly, it's used for utility in Mercy
which
books.
Makes sense.
So I don't mind it at all there. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's yeah.
It's pretty much just like it's just GPS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if anyone had any doubts whatsoever that Dane is not the correct person in this, like the correct love interest, we learn in the next scene exactly why he's not the love interest.
But because first we meet Liam. We have to meet our baby. I love Liam, I will say.
Does she get Liam before that confrontation?
She gets Liam right now. She gets Liam at the end. The bodyguard and her chat, he hits on her scribe friend, and she's like, no. And this is the execution.
Okay. So then they're at meal. I can't remember what meal. They're at meal. And everyone's like, so what the fuck happened last night? Because, like, you're all bruised. 5 or 6 people are dead. What the fuck happened? And she's like, well, they tried to kill me because they wanted my dragon.
Yeah.
And she hasn't told anyone else. She's only told Xaden, and obviously she can't prove it to Xaden. She was just like, "This is who let them in my room.
Mhm.
I saw her face." And I part of me was waiting for it to be Rhiannon.
Dude,
Part of me was
right?
waiting for it to be her, because that would have been a twist. But anyway, then Xaden gets up. He's like, "I would like to make an announcement. I would like to charge a wing leader with treason, and it is Amber Marshall, whatever the fucking name was."
Yeah.
I think it was Amber Marshall. Actually, I don't know though.
That's also why it doesn't feel like high fantasy. Everyone's names are like Bob.
Oh, Amber
everyone's
Mavis.
just-
Mavis.
Everyone's
so
just
close.
named normal shit, and like in high fantasy, it doesn't sit right.
Oh,
to have-
Rydok gets a name.
yeah,
I
like
guess. I think he's the
I
only
guess
one.
we should have
Maybe
gone with
Liam.
something different than like Claire.
well, it's different because that's more like it's sci-fi high fantasy. Blackwoods is, so it's different. Like it's
That's
so it's such a different vibe than Akatar high fantasy, you know.
Well, also a lot of the names in yours though sound, even if they're not like oh, I've never even like vaguely heard of anything like that before. There's a sound to them. Amber is we've got Amber, we've got Sawyer, we've
Liam,
got Rhiannon, Liam.
Liam's a little bit more timeless.
Rhiannon's fine. Xaden and Violet are fine, but Jack.
Yeah, we
You're
got
gonna
Jack,
look me in
Amber.
the eye and tell me someone is named Jack?
Yeah.
No. I don't believe you.
That's the thing. Like we
yeah,
went with like more modern, but like more timeless names. I guess like is what we tried to do.
Yeah, and like that works. Whereas, yeah, I swear, like one of the people in the friend group is Sawyer or something. I swear, is it Sawyer?
I have no idea.
Then we got our
literally could
hippie
not
child
tell
named
you.
Bodhi. Bodhi sounds like his parents went to Woodstock. And if it sounds like your parents went to Woodstock, that's probably not the name for your fantasy character.
Sorry, Jordan.
Am I wrong? Yeah, so he's like, it was Claire Mavis, and then Dane is like, why is he lying about her? And she's like, he's not lying, it happened. And he goes, no, you need to tell people it didn't happen. And she's like, well, no, it did happen. And he's like, she is a wing leader, she is beyond reproach. And Violet's like, Xaden is a wing leader, specifically our wing leader. Why are you not offering him the same damn fucking courtesy? And also, I'm your best fucking friend. Why aren't you believing me? He's like, well, and then he tries to like rape her mind.
Yep.
And she's like, please don't rape my mind. And he's like,
she's
no,
like, I do
I'm
not
going
consent.
to. Yeah, and she's like, no. And he goes, yes. And she goes, no. And then I think Dragon Dude is like, give me your memory, like, give it to me.
Yeah.
And I'll share it. And so she does. She gives it to her dragon, who gives it to all the other dragons, who then give it to their riders. And all the riders are in the room are like, oh, she actually did do a thing.
Yeah.
And so she gets put to death, and Dane is just like, but how did this happen? And also, why the fuck didn't you just let me rape your mind?
Yeah.
And she's like, because you didn't ask me to.
You just wanted to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hence the rape. And he's like, oh. And then we find out later he actually doesn't learn any lesson from that, because he just
No.
because he's jealous. Dane is
so jealous.
He is the stereotypical nice guy TM.
He's literally
Yeah.
Tamlin.
No, I disagree.
No, Tamlin got betrayed.
Yeah, but he's the Tamlin of this book.
Okay.
He's the Tamlin of this book, but like also, Tamlin's never a rape allegory.
No, that is true. That is very true. He's a freedom stealing allegory.
Because I do see mind violations, like when there's telepathic powers, when you're going into people's minds against their will, etc. I do view it as
which I guess, if anything, makes Feyre a rape allegory.
Yeah, 1,000%. Anyways, she finally channels her dragon's power, and she's mad horny. Taryn is
Oh,
fucking wife.
because yeah, Darren and Sephora are like getting busy,
getting it on.
and-
So she finds Zayden and they make out. He's like, "You gotta
Oh,
go. I'm
and-
gonna fuck you right now." And
Oh,
she's like,
and-
"Okay,
and-
bye."
and that their pre first kiss thing, like if I kissed you right now, it'd be cataclysmic. What is that quote? Everyone quotes it like it's the most amazing thing, and I'm like, that is like, wait,
Cringy as shit.
Fourth Wing,
Harvey, please do
Zayden.
not eat the wedding invitations.
Zayden, because her response was worse, right? But I
Yeah.
need to find it.
I don't know what chapter
all
we're
the-
on.
Hoke is a fickle, dangerous thing. I'd rather lose the archives. No, let me kiss. How is the like most quoted quote not on the Goodreads quote list?
If I had this on Kindle, I could probably find it really easily. But
Yeah, no, I'm searching in the book now. What chapter is the kissing in?
that's a great question. I will tell you in a second.
Oh god. You know what? Maybe was
22.
the word cataclysmic? Okay.
Kissing you would be a cataclysmic mistake, is what he says. And she responds, cataclysmic. We'll both regret it naturally.
No, calamitous.
Yeah. Oh, calamitous. Yeah, a cataclysmic. And she says,
Can you?
Yeah, calamitous.
Calamitous. Can you just imagine like kissing you would be a cataclysmic mistake?
Okay. But like honestly though, let's be honest though, if Zayd Meadows said that to Addie, we would have been swooning. It's all about delivery.
It would have been different though.
That said though as well, if she had said back calamitous, I would have laughed. I think it's a reaction. Yes, because that is an awful response.
So funny, yeah.
Like if she'd even said cat, like if she'd half murmured like cataclysmic,
like reset it. Like yeah, cataclysmic mistake. You're right.
Bad. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, in Haunting Adeline, she's the one who would have said that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
if he had said calamitous though, if he had said just say she said it.
He would have said calamitous. And she would have been like, I didn't know you knew that.
Reaching in.
Yeah, that would have been so attractive.
Or something.
She would have been like, you know, big words.
Yeah. No, we would have loved it if it were Zayd. That's the problem, is we just don't like this guy. We were okay with him saying, that's right, I am your fucking god. But we're not okay with this.
But it's also because like the other things going on around it would have been different. Like the stimulus response. Well, and the reactions would have been different.
Yeah, they had chemistry as well, which I feel like is
so important in a romance novel. No, they don't.
Like, I mean, she keeps telling us that she's like undeniably sexually attracted to this guy,
but I don't see it. I don't feel it.
I don't see it.
Anyways, we're getting there, guys. All right, BFF can now, or Rihanna can now summon objects from different rooms. Dane and her have an argument about Zayden.
She can't. Can she do it from different rooms now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's got a strong arc. Yeah. And that's right. And soon she's like summoning entire bodies and shit.
Yeah, she can summon things. Time starts passing pretty quickly. I do like how she does the time, like the months and months and months passing, because it's like I did this and then this and then this and then this.
Yeah,
and
I don't need to be
days kept passing and just the same things. I was okay with that. She still doesn't have her signet powers. She's about to meet Jack on the mat in sparring class. She barely wins. She wakes up in the infirmary with Zayden. He's like, we can't be together, so don't even like talk to me about the kiss. And it's been months at this point. And he's like, ugh. He's like, I'm taking over everything when it comes to you. So Liam's no longer your bodyguard. I'm your bodyguard. They spar. He gives her a dagger he got made for her. And there's supposed to be sexual tension. Another month passes. They do their final task, and Violet shows herself a good strategist. They're out doing something with their whole squad. Yet? No, not yet. We're about to see Sister again. Mira's here.
Oh yeah.
we all go to like the border
Well,
essentially.
she gets the saddle before this, so she must have already got.
No,
the
she
saddle.
doesn't have the saddle yet. Yeah, saddle's a couple chapters away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because they're just going there because of the thing. So like, yeah, at the moment,
It's like an exercise.
her dragon has to like keep her magic on his back.
Yeah. But Mira,
So
the sister, is here. It's sweet. Rihanna, Mira, and Violet go to Rihanna's home because her sister had a baby, so they sneak. But then Zayden shows up because he's like, "Listen, my dragon, Sephora." Yeah, Sephora was horny. She really wanted Taryn, so I'm here now. Because that's what big discussion throughout this entire book is what's going to happen when Zayden graduates at the end of this year, and like, is she gonna have to follow him? But every time he comes to her, like his dragon comes to, because he has the female dragon, it makes sense that she is going to go to.
Also, he has the weaker of the two dragons. She's incredibly strong, incredibly vicious, etc.
But Taryn is stronger.
Yeah, and Mira was saying, like, Mira did make a good point until, like, he was like, "Excuse you, stay in your lane, bitch," because Mira was saying to Zayden, like, "Yes, you're like," he's like, "She's the better rider. Sorry, I'm the better rider for now because I've had 2 years more experience." And Mira's like, "But when she has to like leave school every 3 days to come find you, so your dragon,
she's never going to be, yeah,
she's never going to learn, etc." And he goes, "I think," and then he puts her in a place, and he's like, I think you'll notice that
I'm here
in
now.
this current experience, I'm here now."
But
she's like,
tries to make it seem...
He's like, "No, I am here. Like, I came to her, not her."
And he's trying to make it seem like it's him that chose it when it's not him. It's his dragon that chose it, but whatever. They're trying to make it cute, but it's fine.
And also, her dragon is like hardcore, like wingmanning Zayden throughout the rest of the book. Yeah, he's just like, I like that one. I don't like him, but I guess I like him.
There was another weird chapter break where it's the middle of a scene, and then the next chapter just picks up randomly. Mira's talking strategy with the fourth wing. Later, Mira is warning her about Violet about Zayden, and the three of them just generally chat about the whole bonding thing. Then someone's like, "There's an attack," so Mira is like, "Get her out of here, Zayden." Zayden kisses her and says, "Leave for me." Their whole will they won't they is so annoying. Anyways, they get back and Zayden is like, "Do you still hate me? I'm really into you." And then Dane shows up. Zayden made her a saddle for Taryn. Big squad battle happens. She finally gets her signet. She's a lightning wielder.
Oh, yep. Also, I just realized why I have such a hard time saying his name. Because I've just for the first time saw it written down.
Zayden?
It's her dragons. Because it's T-A-I... Yeah, T-A-I-R-N.
Yeah.
And the R is pronounced, right?
Yeah, it's Taryn.
But being Australian, we don't pronounce our R's like that. So to me, it's just Tan.
It's Tane.
Because I can't.
Yeah.
Like including the R, I would go Tan. But it's like the R and the N kind of make the word 2 syllables.
Yeah.
But my mouth won't let me do it. So when I call him Tan, that's just because my mouth can't do that.
Yep.
Okay. This saddle thing is stupid though, right? This saddle thing is stupid, and I'll tell you why. Okay. He is a giant fucking dragon, right? And
oh my god, a saddle would be so stupidly big.
No, I know, but like, let's just suspend disbelief that the saddle isn't ridiculous. Like, because also like the straps on that saddle would have to be wider than the saddle itself, because the saddle has to be just like enough for her to sit in.
Yeah.
And looking at that scale picture, it doesn't translate well. But like, I can buy him being able to take it off himself. Like, if it's got like a little I can buy that. But when he puts it on himself, and she's like, "How'd you get that on?" And he's like, "Do you think I would let him design a saddle that I couldn't put on myself?" I don't see how a dragon could saddle himself. I don't see how he could. If it had like a little like latch thing where like his hind foot could come up and he could just like scratch it open, and then he could take his head down and shake it off or whatever, I can buy that he can take it off himself. I don't know how the fuck he gets that thing on.
So this is how I imagine him. This is Vagar from House of the Dragon, and there is a person in that image.
Yeah.
There's a very tiny little person. That's how I imagine Taryn.
I don't think he's quite that big.
You don't think he's that big?
No, I think
because fucking Aemond looks so stupid writing him. It's so great.
yeah, like look, let me just go to Daenerys on.
Because let me do
Drogon.
Valyrian.
Let me-
But
yeah.
no, he's definitely bigger than Rhaegal or than Drogon. He's definitely
Yeah,
bigger
no,
than
that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, no, he's bigger than
Valyrian the
bigger than
Dread.
Drogon. Even season 8 Drogon. Yeah, no, I definitely think that he is bigger because obviously season 8 is when Drogon is at his biggest.
Is big, yeah.
They
They don't have Valyrian with. No, because he's bigger than that one.
Wait,
so he's not. He's not Vhagar, but he's close.
Oh wait. Let me just. Yeah, no, because I'm just trying to get a picture of her on his back in the last season. Because a lot of these are from earlier seasons where she's still riding him, but he's not done growing yet. And this is just really annoying. No, she's not on his back in that one. Yeah, okay. I've got like a season 8 promo pic, and yeah, no, she's. I imagine the size difference of Daenerys and Drogon in season 8 is probably Jack and his dragon because he's got one of the smallest dragons. But yeah, no, yeah, I don't see how he's getting that saddle off by himself.
Okay. This is another side tangent, Mara, for you. That is Drogon versus Vhagar. So I think you're right. I don't think Taryn is that big, as big as that.
Yeah, he's definitely bigger than Drogon. He's definitely bigger than Drogon.
A ton bigger. I think he's probably.
And I will say as well, though, Drogon is a much more attractive dragon. Like even if you size him up, he's a much more attractive dragon.
Oh yeah, he's a beautiful dragon. Yes.
So is Oh, I can't even remember the other two dragons' names.
Rhaegal and Viserys, or Viserion. Rhaegal.
Viserion, yeah.
Both die unceremoniously.
Yeah, at least was it Viserion? No,
Viserion was the one that died to the Night King.
I thought
Rhaegal was the one that just fucking dropped dead.
Yeah, he got shot in the Ironborn.
I don't even want to start with fucking season 8 of Game of Thrones. Anyways, she's a lightning wielder. She kills Jack. She kills Jack.
Yes, because the reason why as well is because Jack is trying to kill Liam and almost does kill Liam.
Yes,
and
poor Liam.
And sorry, I've also been saying her name wrong this whole time. It's Andana, not Andara.
Oh,
There's
Andana.
an N at the end. Yeah, Andana is like, use my power, and she's like, okay, I will. And because she's been very reluctant to stop time because it drains.
Because everyone has been like, and also and people are like, don't do it. Do not use it because we can't let people know that you have it.
Yeah, because the issue with her is like the signet power is a combination of the dragon and you, and it's special and it's unique and it's whatever. Whereas when a Feathertail gives its power, they're uncontrolled. So they usually just like, here is my power, it is now yours,
and they can die.
Yeah, and if you use it,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I think even like once she's a grown up, the power like is still the same and it still has the same effects. It's never going to change because she's already given it to her. And then Donna's like, I'm good, I'll have a nap, I promise, just use it. And she's like, okay, I will. So she does.
So she does, and then
rescues Liam, and then she's furious with Jack and lightning bolts him.
Yes, and then later she feels really bad about it, and Dane is like, oh, you sweet baby, we love you, you never have to use it again. And Zayden's like, this is war, she's gonna have to use it again. And I'm on Zayden's side with this.
Yeah, he's like,
there's no room for being a sweet summer child.
He's like, do you think that her having the most powerful signet currently in existence He's like, one that no one has had for over a century. Do you really think they're just going to let her go? Okay, that's fine. You don't have to use it.
You don't need to use it because you feel bad. I don't know, whatever. They make out. They're making out.
Yes.
He's like, tell me to stop. And she's like, don't.
Oh God.
It is funny that
she's like, this is exactly what I want.
It is. What I do like is that the height difference is an issue. I do like that they point that out. They have to keep moving around because they can't line up correctly, and I loved that. I did love that. That was funny.
Look, and I will say this didn't translate as much in the audiobook, obviously, but in the writing, I've seen multiple quotes with this. But the amount of sentences that are just single word sentences, and one of them is in this scene. It's
ridiculous.
It's like, you'll hate me in the morning. You, full stop. Don't, full stop. Really, full stop. Want, full stop. This, full stop. Every so often, using that as a point to emphasize that is fine. Yeah. But
it's often.
She overuses it.
Yes.
Which is why also it goes into the more juvenile YA writing style.
Yeah.
He's it happens a lot more in YA.
He's like, don't fall for me. She trains for her lightning powers. Later, Zane comes over and it's like, wow, we ruined your room. Don't fall for me. And she's like, okay, then we're not going to have sex. And he's like, okay, we're now 10 days from the third year's graduation.
Like when we say they ruined her room, like they burned her room down and burnt down the forest.
Yes. Broke all the desks. They just didn't break the bed. That's the only thing they didn't break.
Multiple people with water power had to go out putting out fires for the entire night.
It's too excessive. Anyways, there's a party celebrating the end of the rebellion Forever Go, and Zane's off doing something, so she goes after him, and she's like, I'm in love with you. And he's like, I agree to be in a relationship with you. And it's so bad. The school's under attack, but they're not. It's just the war games, but it's not for Zayden. He's still a rebel.
Also,
yeah. I did not write anything what happened here.
No, at some point earlier in the book, Zayden keeps disappearing throughout the book, and he eventually tells her some point after Amber being executed, and now I can't remember when it happened. So he tells her, "We've been going to the outpost of blah blah." And she's like, "Cool." And he's like, "But don't tell anyone." And she's like, "Cool." He
was also whipped a crap ton. He has a bunch of scars on his back. Jamie from Outlander style. From the 107 children of the rebels that
by her mother
by her mother. So there's star-crossed.
So yeah, he did that.
They go off somewhere because he's like, Violet, you're with me. You and I, like, we're going over to this place. But Dane is like,
he's been going to.
Yes, and Dane is like, it's like, I'll miss you. I love you, best friend. You're such a good friend to me. And like, it's caressing her face. And she's like,
I think the caressing had already.
Oh, he'd already done it?
He'd already done it around the time. It would have been not too long after Zayden had first told her that he'd been going to that outpost.
Yeah.
I don't know what scene that happened in, but he's touched her face at some point in the past, and that is relevant.
And he says something to her like, I hope you survive or something like that. And she's like, that's weird. Well,
not too weird though. So lots of people die in the war game. So we don't think anything's too off about that. And he's like, I'll miss you.
Yeah, it's something like that. And
we think he's just being extra clingy.
And we see that Zayden is still a rebel. She's like, you what? Even her dragons knew. So she's like, she's really mad at him. She's really mad at her dragons. Yeah, I hate everyone. He explains, and she's like, I believe you. I believe that you're on the side of the right, but I don't trust you right now. And he's like, that's fair. Dane took her memories, so now there's an ambush set for them. Venin, which is a fabled memory, or fabled enemy, are there with wyverns.
Yeah, also, so she had this fable book given to her by her dad years ago.
Yeah, this has all been set up, honestly, but
and
I thought it was irrelevant.
And she had to leave it at home, and she wanted it, and she asked her friend in the archives or whatever if she could get her a copy, and she's like, there are no references to anything related to this book ever,
to Venin or to wyverns or anything like that.
And she's like, well, that's odd. And then her sister ends up giving her the book, and she finds a note from her dad in the book being like, it only takes one generation to erase history. Be careful, or whatever it is. And she's like, that's random. And then it's kind of, we find out during this that it's all real. It's not fables. It's all real.
Yep.
They just their wards prevent all magic that is not dragon magic from coming in, so the wyvern don't come in because they can't use their magic. But they're outside the wards right now because they're in an outpost.
Yes, and it's an ambush.
So the Griffin Flyers and the Dragon Riders are like, let's team up and defeat these.
Yeah, they all agree.
The Griffin Flyers are like, you guys need to go and save yourselves because we're all gonna die.
And Zayden's like, I have to stay, and Violet's like, yeah, you're right. We can't let this village die. So they stay. Liam's dragon dies, so Liam dies, and I was actually sad about that. I was
sad when Liam died because Liam was a bro. Like, he was a good boy.
She, like, I don't know. She gets poisoned, but it's like not a big deal. The last chapter's from his perspective, so we have a nice little Akatar thing happening here.
They work out because wyverns are effectively
they're like
extensions.
Dragons. Yeah, but if you kill a venom, you kill all the wyverns that venom created.
Yeah, and they look like dragons, but they've only got 2 legs instead of 4.
Yeah.
Like a wyvern.
Like normal wyverns. Yeah.
Yeah. She works out that she needs to kill the venoms, and so she lightning strikes them all. And, her signet power is gone. She wakes up, she's mad at Zayden, and is like, we're done. And he's like, I don't care, because guess what? You and I are stuck together. And also there's kind of this vital piece of information that once you learn, you might feel better about this whole thing. Just 1 second as well. So that she's like, those spires look familiar. I thought this city was destroyed. What the fuck? And it's the city that he grew up in. It's the rebellion, heart of the rebellion. Yeah. And he's like, we've been rebuilding it because it's been abandoned. Yeah. And then he's like, okay, cool, but I have a surprise for you.
And then her dead brother walks in and is like, hello, sister. And that's the end of the book. It's literally
he's like, welcome to the rebellion.
Yeah, he says welcome to the rebellion.
Yeah, because he was a mender, and it looks like he actually was mending her.
He was one of the most like accomplished menders of their generation. Yeah.
And that's a very rare power, and she actually requires a lot of mending as opposed to healing. Healing is like a doctor, a mender is a magical version of that.
Let me see.
And
his name's Brennan.
Brennan.
He says, welcome to the revolution, Violet.
There we go.
Says, and that's the end.
And then the book ends.
Revolution.
Guillotines.
Yes.
Fictional guillotines. Sorry. Just to be clear.
Yeah. Honestly, like I honestly, some of these words are like the name of the city they're in is Athabine.
And also,
that was the outpost. That was the outpost.
He's also like, I love you, Violet.
When she first wakes up, she remembers that they're in a relationship. She remembers all that. But she forgets everything that immediately happens until like a minute later.
Yeah.
Also, how long? Sigale, that's his dragon's name. Also, I can't imagine having to read Sigale without having like the audio reference to that because it's Sgaeyl. I don't know what the hell you thought you were reading. Was it Sigale?
Yeah, Sigale.
Okay.
But also that's dangerous. That is a dangerous word. I don't like that word. It reminds me of something that should not be. Do you remember that book we were talking about Saturday morning? That I was like, oh, that sounds way too similar to this thing.
Yes.
Sigale sounds way too similar to another thing.
Oh.
Yeah, Yeah, we should stop saying it. Sounds way too similar.
Sephora?
Yeah, so
Sephora. Okay. Sephora.
So here's the thing. We're just going to talk about it real quick. When you're coming up with fantasy words, have a focus group of...
Have some random person say it out loud.
Some random person try to read it out loud. And maybe have a World War II enthusiast say it out loud. And see what happens. And not because you're doing anything wrong or whatever.
No, because it's not intentional.
But it can be very easy to accidentally... come up with something that sounds like Aryans, maybe.
which is the example that I had.
Oh,
It sounds yep.
And
So Sephora.
not on purpose.
No, it's
Not on purpose, but they are long-haired, blue-eyed. They're blonde-haired, blue-eyed, mostly people that live
Yeah, in this book that
in
she's
a
reading.
colder area of the.
And they're
And it's like-
described as something very similar to Aryan. And I was like, you should probably let someone know this.
And I hadn't realized it because I hadn't said it out loud. But like, it's
Always
a good
read
point.
your shit out loud, guys. Always
well,
read your shit out loud.
look, this is a more extreme version of Zayden and Dane.
Yes.
Like, she needed to say them out loud. Yeah, if the dominant, like in relation to the Zayden and Dane thing, look, if the dominant syllable of the name, because every word has a dominant syllable. If the dominant syllable of the name or the two first syllables, because that's the two things that nicknames are usually based on, is either the dominant or the first syllable. If it rhymes, no. If there is a rhyming first syllable or a rhyming dominant syllable, no. Just don't. But with this, yes.
And
Sorry.
and like, here's the thing: the people the authors that I was reading for definitely would want to know that, like, we noticed that, like, I noticed that, or you noticed that when I was asking you to how you might pronounce that, because I can definitely struggle with like pronouncing things out loud.
Yeah, it's like you just say your stuff out loud. Make sure it doesn't sound like, because it's not even like stuff like that. It's even like if it sounds like a curse word or if it sounds like something else that's not good.
Unless it's intentional, like Lord Farquaad.
Unless it's intentional. Yeah, like Lord Farquaad. Yes, that's intentional. We love that.
There's also, it's kind of like when you're doing graphic design or something. It's like, checking my design for swastikas and penises. Like,
yes, always, it's always that.
Or
double check your book for swastikas, or double check your book for accidental swastikas and penises.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure the purposeful ones are where you put them. Like, you know,
because also, like, because you're either taking this name from like a history or something, or you're inventing it in your head, or you've used a random fantasy name generator, however you've come to it. This is a name that you've got in your head, and you know that her name is that, and that is how it is, etc. And so you probably, like, I mean, it went over my head, but then once it got pointed out,
it went over my head too until you said it out loud, and I went,
yeah. But yeah,
and
no,
you might
like,
have been primed to notice it because of what we were talking about over.
Because we were just talking about this a few days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. But when but it can make you blind. It's like when you reread your manuscript and you can't see any of your typos because you know that
you've read them so many times.
You need outside eyes.
Yeah.
This had to have been beta read though. This had to have been.
It was, for sure.
Then
I've seen this book going around TikTok since like fucking November. I've thought it was out since November because people have been getting copies of it since then. Like, I've seen this on, it's been on my TBR since like November, December. Like, it's.
Whoever designed her marketing campaign needs a raise.
Yes. They killed it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think I've seen a book upon release this heavily, like
it just came out
series. And I know that this isn't her debut novel, but it's her debut fantasy novel. Completely different. So as far as fantasy is concerned, this is her debut novel. And yeah, it has taken book readers by storm. And I don't.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the majority of people that like this are like 20 or around that age, and I'll tell you why. Because of the writing,
It's funny because this is tagged as new adult and adult, but not young adult. Anyways, yeah, this came out a month ago.
Was it only a month ago?
May 2nd.
Really? I feel like I've heard about it for way longer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I've seen it on TikTok since November. or around that time period. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I know it's been on my. Actually, I can tell you what I
For
put on my
months.
TBR.
Okay, tell us one.
I have that function. Well, I have to go find it. So, give me a second.
But yeah, maybe like a lot of the people that are reading this and are loving it, etc., are like in the very late teens, very early 20s period, because then the writing style being so YA isn't quite as glaring an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I only marked it in my TBR in March, but I know I'd seen it longer than that.
Yeah, but like but that we even with that in mind though, good reads for wing. There we go. I still don't feel like that is where are we? 78% 5-star rating. Like, I still don't think that accounts for it.
It is one of the highest rated books on Goodreads.
Oh, speaking of highest rated books, have you guys seen like the most recent lowest rated book on Goodreads?
No, what is it?
In that whole scandal? Oh crap, what is the name of it? Wait,
Please tell me. I want to find it.
Scandal. Oh, where is it? So some chick wrote so Sarah Stuzek, I think is how you say it. She's the author, and all the arcs had gone out, and she'd been getting 5-star reviews from all of her arc readers, and also if all the arc readers are giving 5-star reviews,
is it the 1.1 star?
Yes, and I'll tell you what happened because this is
it's not out yet.
No, this has all happened from arc readers, and also what is the vanity publisher? Is it Spark, whatever, where you pay like 10 grand and they do all the editing and everything, and then they publish the book?
X something.
There's an S. It's S. Spark, Scribe, Spark, something. One of the reviewers, the ARC reviewers, gave her a 4-star review instead of a 5-star.
Yeah, I'm reading that review right now.
Yeah, and she had written, and it was more or less just like, I enjoyed it. The ending was a bit predictable, but it was a great read, good for a first book, well done. And she rated it 4 stars. And then this author makes a TikTok being like, I had a perfect 5-star rating until this fucking bitch came along.
I didn't see the TikTok. This is wild.
Yeah.
And the TikTok.
Yeah, like so the original review was, in another life I probably would have enjoyed. Oh no, so that's a different one. Okay, so yeah, her video said something like, I had a perfect 5-star average until this bitch came up. She said the ending was kind of predictable. Yeah, well, it's my life, not a fucking murder mystery. But other than that, it was incredible. So you gave me 4 stars, and and she's putting this chick on blast for giving her a 4-star rating instead of a 5-star. And then her quote unquote, because you know how like whenever someone has a scandal, they either do a double down or apology video.
Yeah.
She did a double down.
Oh, thank God. I was hoping that's what she...
in a TikTok, I can't remember what it was, what she had said in that. I don't think this article. Oh no, seriously. She goes, I got a community guidelines violation because you guys can't take a joke. I'm literally a comedian. You obviously haven't read my book, but anyways, welcome to the show.
Okay.
And but yeah, the book was being published through a vanity publishing house, which is again Spark Press. There we go.
She was dropped by her publisher.
Yeah, and again, this isn't like a normal traditional publishing where like they pay you money, right? You pay them money. You pay them 10 grand, and they will do your editing. They will do your editing, your cover design, and your distribution. But I think aside from printing costs or whatever, you get all the royalties. So it more or less is like halfway between self-publishing and traditional publishing, because they more or less, instead of finding your own editor and your own cover designer and your own way to distribute, they just handle that part of it. And they dropped her. that like a vanity publisher dropped her. And
That's crazy.
from what I understand, that is almost impossible to do because again, like they no matter how badly your book sells, they make 10 grand on your
Yeah.
book.
Damn.
So yeah, and they actually, I don't know if you can review it anymore, but Goodreads actually had to lock reviews for her book.
That's fucking funny. It only has 500 one-star reviews now. So, and a lot of them were like, didn't read it. I just hate her.
Yep. Yeah, they had to block reviews on her account. Because I did find that there is a different book review site that is like Goodreads. I can't remember what it's called though.
I
saw
see a
it
lot of
the other day.
ads for it that's like, stop, get your friends off Goodreads. It sucks. And I'm like, Goodreads is
do you want
fine.
to know the advantage? Do you want to know the advantage to this other one? They allow you to rate 0 stars. So on that site, her book has an average of a 0.23 rating.
I love that.
I do think that Goodreads should allow for a 0 stars because
I think
especially
it
for all
should.
like the DNFs. DNF is
Yeah.
obviously inherently a 0 star because you
But-
didn't finish the book.
But also part of me thinks the DNFs shouldn't count.
A DNF is different. Like I don't think.
I think that should be a different rating. Like you have a DNF, like you can see how many people like DNF'd something.
Yeah, fair.
But this has been Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fourth Wing.
Next week,
Look, I will say I wasn't ripping my hair out during Fourth Wing.
No.
Like, it wasn't unbearable.
I was just bored.
It's just, yeah. I just alternated between really overwhelmed and really underwhelmed and not in good ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fourth Wing. Question. Are we going to do the rest of the Imperium series?
I don't know. It totally depends.
I imagine we'll be going well more into dragon politics based on the series name because the Emporium is the dragon leadership.
Oh yeah, that's something we didn't mention. There's a whole dragon politics system that exists that is fine.
Because when Andana also bonded to her, the Imperium had to meet, which was the dragons. The dragons had to conference.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'll probably read the second one just like for myself, just cause.
Look, I feel like this isn't unbearable. Like. There's enough to criticize without it being hair ripping out. If the rest follow this thing, there's enough to criticize without ripping our hair out at this point. So I vote we at least do the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have? Yeah. So next week is Crescent City.
I'm gonna die. I'm so excited. It's just because I want to get to Crescent City 2. Because when we do Crescent City 2, Mara, you're gonna have to text when you get to the thing. You'll know what the thing is.
Okay.
But I need a text. What
if I don't recognize the thing?
Oh,
You'll
you
know.
will. There's no way to not know.
What if I don't? But what if I don't?
You'll know.
Oh, Mara, there's no way to not know. No, let me tell you, there's no way to not know.
Okay, if I text you thinking I have the thing, but it's not the thing, you need to tell me
I'll tell you.
premature. You're prematurely
I will.
thinking.
I will.
I want that
You
text
probably
back.
will.
That word for
You
word.
probably-
You are
you
prematurely thinking.
You'll probably will, and then I'll be like, nope, it's better. Nope, it's better.
Does that mean that I can only do it but like listen to it while you guys are awake?
No. I'll wake
No.
up to it. I don't care. I'll wake up to it and I'll be like, no, you missed it. It's better. Or no, there's no way you can miss it. You literally can't miss it. I'm so excited. But it's in the second one. Next there's no fucking way. So next week is the first Crescent City. It's called A House of Earth and Blood, I think. Yeah, House of Earth and Blood. I'm so excited. There's a lot of high fantasy world building, so be ready.
Yep.
Pay attention. And if you have questions, I will answer them.
I'm going to
do
have
my
questions,
best.
most likely.
Yeah, I have a pretty good understanding of the universe now. It's pretty hefty.
Do you have
Especially
your tattoo picked?
yes, I do. It's not going to make any sense to you guys.
Okay.
Well, it will when you see it, like next week. It's gonna be a pupper.
Okay.
It's gonna be a pupper. The week after, I have no fucking idea. I have an idea, but I won't tell y'all in advance what it is.
Okay.
I'll just come on stream and you'll be like, oh my god. It just depends if I have it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. This was Fourth Wing.
This was Fourth
Yep.
Wing by Rebecca
And
Yaros.
we'll be next week, same
Yeah, we
time,
need it.
same place, probably.
Well, same place, definitely, but
But
Yeah, we'll work it
whatever.
out.
We'll figure it
Yeah.
out. So,
Okay.
all right. Bye.